right, all right, all right. All 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 right, all right, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, good even fall to one and all. Lieutenant Commander's Star Log date 11013.7, and this is your interlocutor and fellow psychonaut, space cadet, and, in my case at least, speaking only for myself, I'm an airhead. This is Warp Speed, and I do bid you do well. I hope you are well of health and sane of mind, and I welcome you to this here broadcast, one that we focus on all things organized violence and pugilism. If you are into men and women that can pound the fists into each other's face, and then at the end of one's dispute, embrace each other as blood brothers, then this is the venue for you. Warp Speed, if anything, is an admirer of all people that are brave, people that will face adversity. Win or lose, they dust themselves off, pick themselves up, take another step forward, and never relinquish the fight. If you are that kind of an individual, I salute you. If you are not, but yet want to be that kind of individual, I salute you. If you are a coward, but you still admire these individuals, I salute you. I hope, of course, you stop being cowardly, and that you find the inner animal within you so that you can prepare yourself for the day that you must fight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board. Tonight, we are going to be addressing a lot of the more recent significant things going on in the sport of boxing, but we're going to look at things through the lens of a fan that admires the sport, diehards that expect the sport to provide the best fights out there, but also we're going to look at it from the novices, the people that are going through the amateur ranks, because that is one of our fortes. One of the things that the homie Ricky, which is my fellow co-host, myself, and also another co-host of ours at the Warp Speed channel, Life at Warp Speed. This is what the show is called. His name is Dream. We like to address all things from the standpoint of the amateurs, because we really do support the amateur rings. We support the amateur circuits, especially in our local region. Always start locally, build from there. So we're going to be addressing all of these things from a lot of different angles, but again, always with a sense of admiration and fondness for these brave men and women. But also because we are fans, we expect some of the best fights out there. So we will be getting honest, as harsh as sometimes honesty can be. But understand that we come from a place of love, understanding, because this is our livelihood. This is the sport that brings me, in my case, so much significance in my life. Without the sport of boxing, there would not be this channel. There wouldn't be conversations between the homie Ricky Dream and I where we go on for hours, sometimes don't talk to each other for days. Why? Because of our difference of opinion. But then we rekindle, come back together because of that same connection to the sport. The sport of boxing means so much to the Warp Speed channel. But because we are to address people that fight, people that give in to their more primal, savage side, those that never quit, we also do want to give some recognition and attention to one of the bravest men in the current day and age. If there's anybody out there listening, guess who I may be referring to? Who is the man of the hour? Who is the man who said, fight, fight, fight? Who looked death in the eyeball, survived it, and said, fight? Can anybody guess? All right. I guess nobody can guess. Would you like to guess? Donald J. Trump, ladies and gentlemen. If a 10-year-old child understands that Donald J. Trump looked death squarely in the eyeball and said, no, you are not taking me tonight. No, I will not cower in your attempts at provoking fear and instilling division in our nation. If you cannot grasp that to your head through your noggin, and a 10-year-old can, it is lamentable. Because irrespective of where you stand in the political divide, and yes, it is a divide because we are absolutely divided in this great nation of ours, the United States of America. It is a divide. But nonetheless, if you cannot give respect to the fighting spirit of a man that runs to become the leader of this great nation because he has an impression of what our nation needs to survive and continue to become great, whether or not that may be correct, whether or not you agree with that. The one thing is, he is striving to build our country better. He wants a better America. And if you have a difference of opinion to that, that's great. I'm not even saying I agree with his impression of where America should be led. This is not a political show. But I will say this, he is a fighter. He is putting himself out there because he believes he has a path forward to make our country great again. And if you have any ideas on how to lead and build a better pathway towards our greatness as a country, I encourage you to become involved in politics. Because that's what we need in this country right now. We need to become great again. Donald J. Trump, irrespective of where you stand on politics, he is doing something. And I encourage you to do something for your communities also. Your little city, your little community, your neighborhood. Do something for it. Develop a sense of pride where you stand. Take care of your real estate. Protect your people. Say hello to your neighbors. Wave bye as they're going out to work. Start there. Make your community stronger and make your person, your persona, a person of a strong character that stands up for their morals and their ideals and try to do something better for your community. Whether you agree that Donald J. Trump is doing that, that is not the point. He is trying, is what matters. Okay. Enough said. Now, going back to what our strength of this show is, which is the sport of boxing, we are going to address the biggest upset in the sport of boxing in who knows how long. Wow. If you guys saw what took place over this past weekend, we had some of the bigger names go out there and expose themselves, right? We had Janibek Alimkanulai, who was going to go out there and display his skills. He most recently became a two-time unified two-belt holder, champion at middleweight. He was going to take place in a fight over the weekend, on Saturday. Something happened. He was severely dehydrated, exposed himself to some harm to his health, and as a result of that, he couldn't partake in this fight. Missed opportunity. So, of course, a missed opportunity for one is an opportunity for the other. And we got to see Raymond Murataya fight with one of the most defensive, clever, and feisty individuals out there, and Mr. Tevin Farmer. But there was another opportunity for one of our favorite fighters here at the Homie Ricky podcast and the Warp Speed channel, which is Ruben Villa IV, from small town Salinas, California, the saddest boy to the world. Ruben Villa IV, as a result of Alam Kanulai's fight falling through the cracks, he became the co-main event. Instead of just being the third fight in line right before the main event, he became the co-main, the co-feature, and this was going to be a great opportunity for young Ruben to defend his most recently attained baby belt, the silver WBC lightweight title. He got that most recently from the WBC like about a week ago or so, maybe two. And coincidentally enough, that just made this fight over the weekend a little more interesting because he was already number 2 in line for the WBC. This belt just basically was a formal recognition that he had climbed up the ranks, that it was in a position for him to knock on the door of any of the champions if he wanted to unify, or at least take on the 126 true champion at WBC, whoever that is. We'll research in a moment. But he was going to go on there and fight an African individual by the name of Suleiman Sagawa. Right? You may be asking yourself, who is Suleiman Sagawa? And in fact, you may actually be asking yourself, who is Ruben Villa IV? Okay. Well, let me rekindle your memory, right? Ruben Villa IV is a standout amateur who had an upbringing in the sport with the men such as, if I'm not mistaken, Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Stevens, and all them type of cats. He's from that generation. And he's a very good feisty individual. In fact, he is a fighter that put on a hell of a fight against the former 3-division champion, Emmanuel El Vaquero Navarrete, and he also beat one of the best fighters at that lightweight right now, in El Venado Lopez, right? Juan El Venado Lopez. And Jose Luis El Venado Lopez, he most recently, well, actually for a couple of years now, he's been one of the biggest upsetters in the sport of boxing. He's beaten men such as Josh Warrington, and I believe he may have also beaten, what's his name? The guy with the curly hair. I can't remember. But anyways, I believe Homie Ricky may be in the background. He may probably fill in a couple of those things that I forget because I'm an old man that did a lot of drugs. I used to huff gasoline from gas tank inside of my room listening to punk rock and drum and bass. So don't judge me for having a bad memory Trust me, I take notes as a result of that. Right now, I don't have my notepad, but nonetheless, Jose Luis El Venado Lopez is a very dangerous individual. And Ruben Villa, before he became the champion, he beat that guy in a very good fight, but he beat him convincingly. So we know that Ruben Villa is been knocking on the door of championship for a while now. That's who Ruben Villa IV is. They call him Drac, affectionately. So who is Suleiman Sagawa? I guess maybe that should be a better question, right? Suleiman Sagawa. Well, Suleiman Sagawa, he's a fighter that was ranked about 50 before Ruben Villa fought him. And you're feeling, okay, what do I make with that? But just think about it, right? Ruben Villa is a very skillful fighter. In my opinion, so many things went wrong with Ruben Villa's last fight. I believe it has a lot to do not with his skill set, because if anything, he proved that he is resilient. He proved that he can take a punch. He proved that not only can he take a punch, he can overcome the drowsiness, the lightheadedness, the convoluted nature of the damage and the placement of such damage when you're hurt and how it puts you. He overcame that, and in fact, he almost stopped his opponent. As much as he himself got hurt, he hurt his opponent. Nonetheless, throughout the more rounds, Sagawa was just getting the better working, getting the better, more flusher, harder punches, and that was leaving a mark. So he won at the end. We will talk about that because I don't want to talk about that without prefacing everything, without mentioning something relatively related to that you may not find the association, but I will tell you this: there is an association, and we are going to be prefacing the conversation that we will have as the main topic for the day. Ruben Villa's loss to Sagawa over the weekend, what I believe is the biggest upset in years. Well, at least this year for sure. But we are going to start off by addressing Keyshawn Davis's reluctance to face Andy Cruz. Yeah. Apparently, Keyshawn Davis does not really want to face Andy Cruz. Even though Andy Cruz only has about 3 fights in his belt as a pro, and Keyshawn Davis has about 13. Right? And you're probably like, how do you get to Ruben Villa from Keyshawn Davis? Well, let's talk about it, right? As reported today on BoxingNews24.com and written by, wow, I dislike this individual, by Nation Vegas, another anonymous individual that does not care to put his name out there and his opinions. He writes in a topic titled Keyshawn Davis's reluctance to face Andy Cruz sparks debate and raises questions. This individual says that Keyshawn Davis, quote, got worked up today when reminded by Gervonta Davis's coach Kenny Ellis about his 4 consecutive defeats against Cuban talent Andy Cruz in the amateur ranks. Okay. So Keyshawn Davis, everybody, right? He's a very good fighter. If you guys recall, just a couple of months ago, he ended up fighting that very good fighter, Jose Pedraza, a former champion, the guy who only been knocked out by Gervonta Tank Davis about 7 years ago, where Gervonta Tank Davis became the lightweight champion at 130 on the count of beating that guy. He not only beat him, he ended up knocking him out, if I'm not mistaken. And no one else has done that. Not even fighters like Jose Ramirez have been able to knock out Jose Pedraza, right? But yet, somehow, Keyshawn Davis just put up a stellar fight against that guy and stopped him, dropped him and stopped him. Sorry, I was actually mentioning Ruben Villa and all those other fighters as lightweights when they're in fact featherweights. I apologize if I may have mentioned that right there. But nonetheless, Keyshawn Davis is a standout. Keyshawn Davis comes from the Bo McIntyre camp, where he has fighters like, you know, Shakur Stevens, Terrence Crawford, and for a while there, I think Chris Eubank Jr. was over there sparring those guys right there. And of course, Bo Mac, uh, Brian McIntyre, he has more than just those three fighters. He has other fighters that I believe have fought over the weekend also. They're very great fighters, by the way. He's a very good trainer there. But Keyshawn Davis, he has been asked before about fighting Andy Cruz on account of Andy Cruz continuing to light a fire under his behind. Every time Andy Cruz gets presented a mic to his face, he always brings up Keyshawn Davis and he says he wants to fight him. And Mr. Eddie Hearn, of course, his promoter for Cruz, he's always out there saying Keyshawn Davis is good, but we got his number. That's why he's ducking us. That's why he's ducking us. And of course, Keyshawn Davis apparently is, because every time he's asked of it, he says things like the following. He says things like, he's not on my level. I'm a main event fighter. Why should I take a step down? Now, it's important to note that Nation Vegas is a writer that is going to be very critical of Keyshawn Davis. I'm just going to read a couple of things, and you'll notice immediately the language, the parlance that he chooses to use in writing this missive when addressing Keyshawn Davis. He writes, fans believe Keyshawn Davis is terrified of Andy Cruz and what he represents. He's a career killer, an asteroid that would wreck his money-making hopes for his hopes. Cruz has real talent and he wouldn't struggle against the fighters that Keyshawn has looked terrible against recently. It's unclear why Top Rank didn't get to Cruz before Matchroom. Despite repeatedly being called out by 2020 Olympic gold medalist Andy Cruz, Keyshawn has rejected the fight. Today, Keyshawn gave his reasons, stating that Cruz isn't main event material and is not on my level. Okay. Now, that could be up for debate, ladies and gentlemen. You tell me, is Andy Cruz main event material? Right? You have to really ask yourself, has Andy Cruz had a main event fight? Has he been the main event fighter? Remember, this guy is the standout lightweight fighter from Cuba. I think he's a two-time gold medalist. He had an amateur record of 135 wins, 9 losses, and he's quite talented, right? He has 4 wins against Keyshawn Davis. He's never lost to Keyshawn Davis. As a pro, he's fought Juan Carlos Burgos, Giovanni Strafon, and Brian Samaripa. Right? And Keyshawn Davis, he's fought in men such as, let's run through his box rec. We'll just go through the fighters with winning records. Richmond Ashley, Esteban Sanchez, Omar Tienda Baena, Juan Carlos Burgos, Anthony Yigit. Can you dig in Yigit? Francesco Batera, Nair Albright. That's the one that ended in a no contest. I believe that's the one that they took away that win because it turned out that, I guess, Keyshawn Davis likes to puff on that green, right? He ended up knocking out Jose Pedraza, and then he had a very good outing, tough fight, but nonetheless a victory against Miguel Madueño with a record of 31-2. Jose Pedraza had a 21 win, 5 loss, 1 draw record, right? Now, I don't recall that that Andy Cruz ever was the main event fighter, right? Nonetheless, so in that case, I guess Keyshawn Davis is right that Andy Cruz is not a main event fighter. Okay, but I mean that's strange, Keyshawn. Are you saying you only fight main event fighters? Because if that's the case, was Miguel Madueño a main event fighter? Was Jose Pedraza a main event fighter? Maybe when he was a champion 7 years ago, he was. He's not now. So what are you trying to say, Keyshawn Davis? The one thing that we can say, and here's the other thing, he says he is not on his level. Well, Keyshawn, the guy has beaten you 4 times. Can we say that you're not on his level? Right? The excuses that Keyshawn Davis is giving up in order to provide a logical reason for why he shouldn't fight Andy Cruz, they just don't pan out. So we cannot say that Keyshawn Davis is being forthcoming when he gives these excuses or these reasons, whatever you want to call them. So I think we can ignore that, right? But I believe that this writer, as biased as he is, as dismissive of Keyshawn Davis is, I think he is correct when he says that Andy Cruz, would be a career killer for Keyshawn Davis, that he would wreck, quote unquote, his money making hopes. Why? Because Andy Cruz is not a main event fighter. Andy Cruz, that type of a fight, does not bring in a big population, a big ice and price kind of a fight. There won't be a big recompense. It'll just be high risk, low rewards. So in that case, this writer is correct. So we cannot be too harsh on Keyshawn Davis, because the fact of the matter is he's already lost to him. He knows he's got his number. Andy Cruz got his number. So why should Keyshawn Davis fight a guy that's beaten him 4 different times, who doesn't pay him well, who's only gonna mess up his chances for a bag, for lucre, for booty, for recompense? Why should this fight even be addressed as something that should interest Keyshawn Davis? Why should people think that Keyshawn Davis is ducking that guy? I guess a better question is, why does Andy Cruz feel so inclined to beat a guy that he's beaten 4 different times instead of testing himself against someone he's never beaten? Right? That should be the better question. Why go for low-hanging fruit when you've already beaten that guy? What kind of cowardice is Andy Cruz displaying by trying to beat the same guy over and over and over again? Make your own career, Andy. And once you make your own career and you build up your own name, and then Keyshawn Davis builds up his own, then you guys can meet up there, and then you can beat him again, become the star, crush the financial aspirations of Keyshawn Davis. But right now, bro, Andy Cruz, you are moving like a coward, just like Keyshawn Davis is. Because that is one thing, right? It is cowardly of Keyshawn Davis to come up with so many invalid excuses for ducking that smoke. But they're reasonable. High risk, low rewards against a guy who has your number, and you're not going to get paid well. So why do it, right? Chase after the bag. Chase after the bag. So this is where we now hop on to the topic at hand, which is Ruben Villa IV's loss over the weekend. And before we hop on there, let's just wish a good even fall to a couple of our listeners. Well, our only listener, Eddie Medi, good even fall to you. Greetings from the pond. I'm here surrounded by ducks. So what are you? What are you? If you're not a duck, are you a duck, or are you like what are those ones called? Are you a mallard? Are you a duck or a mallard? Keyshawn, Crawford, and Canelo. Any Cruz on Riyadh card pay-per-view, and Keyshawn hasn't been in any pay-per-view cards yet. LOL. Yeah, that is true, Eddie Medi, that is true. But just because you are on a pay-per-view card, that's not a good thing necessarily. And it doesn't mean that you are a pay-per-view star. People aren't paying to watch Andy Cruz. I doubt that you are. If he's fighting on the undercard of Canelo, he's fighting on the undercard of Canelo, not in his own pay-per-view. And the other thing is this, in the current age where nobody pays per view, there's a lot of people that don't get to watch you on account that they have to pay to get past the paywall in order to see you. So the eyes that it would be coming on somebody like Keyshawn Davis are minimal. The homie Ricky says, shame on Keyshawn Davis. Okay, yeah, that's true. Eddie Medi says Keyshawn wants a payday because he knows he'll get exposed against elite fighters. And yes, that is the risk that everybody assumes, Eddie Medi. People want to take the risk of losing when they will get paid, but they also want to chase after a championship, right? So there's many ways for why you would take on a fight. One, it'll elevate your name. Two, it'll pay you well. And three, it'll get you a belt. Guess what? Andy Cruz does not do anything for Keyshawn Davis' career. In fact, one could even argue that Keyshawn Davis does nothing for Andy Cruz's career. Because again, under the superstitions of yours that Keyshawn Davis has never fought in the pay-per-view, does not have a belt, does not get paid well, it's the same thing, right? So, build your brand name, get your names out there, be more dominant, and then one day that fight will make sense to not only Keyshawn Davis, but also Andy Cruz. Eddie Medi continues. He says the problem is the Top Rank loves promoting black fighters, and Andy Cruz is getting overlooked because he's Latino. There is some truth to that. I believe there is some truth to that. I'm not too sure if I'm smart enough to substantiate that with any kind of evidence, especially not proof. But I do know that that right now they're heavy hitters, the ones that get all the the most name recognition and the most eyes out there they're black fighters. But then again, that might just be because those black fighters are putting up some very intriguing fights. We'll talk about it, Eddie. Let me know which of the fights that have been headlined by black fighters, or any of the black fighters out there that you think they're getting more attention on account and overlooking Latinos that you can think of, and we'll address them one by one. The homie Ricky states, good point, brother. I thought Keyshawn was the truth after Pedraza, but now I see him like most American fighters, limited. A heron. Oh, a heron. Beautiful birds right there. I'm a swan, baby. There you go. A black swan. The boxing community wants Keyshawn versus Andy. I think the hardcore community wants that fight, Eddie Medi. Otherwise, the casuals don't know these guys, right? I don't think anybody would really pay for a fight like that if they were presented with that. So now let's hop onto the topic at hand, right? Which is Keyshawn Davis is maneuvering in a way that either can get him name recognition, get him paid, and as he likes to state, fight people on his level, because everything else would be high risk, low reward. So now you may ask yourself, what does this have to do with Ruben Villa's fight over the weekend that he lost? Well, I believe that's exactly what got him caught up in this loss. Instead of Ruben Villa IV pursuing a fight that would get him paid, instead of pursuing a fight that would bring him some name recognition, some eyes to his skill set, instead of trying to pursue a championship fight, he did the opposite. He fought a fighter that was a no name, that was dangerous, that was ranked 50 something. So this is the definition of high risk, low reward. A fighter that does not do anything for your record except provide you a chance at spoiling it. You're gonna take on that fight on the cheap, and it's not gonna open up the doors for recompense nor a championship. And the reason why it's concerning is because Ruben Villa had a 3-fight contract with Top Rank. And this most recent fight was the last of those 3 fights, if I'm not mistaken. This fight should have been an exposition of his skills, a display for the world as a co-main event fighter, to show the world out there, while the world was seeing that Ruben Villa is a feisty fighter that brings the excitement, that can stand there in the pocket and defeat his foes convincingly, that he's ready for another championship fight, that you would be remiss if you missed the opportunity to watch Ruben Villa in his path towards greatness. That's what this opportunity was. Instead, he fought a very dangerous fighter that proved exactly how dangerous he was. A fighter that nobody knew. Those kind of fighters that there is not a lot of footage on. The kind of fighters that get overlooked, that people think they're soft pushes, because again, nobody knows him, and that has a lot to do more with the ignorance of the American boxing fan, and for the most part, boxing fans at large, right? That they don't know every fighter. There's thousands of fighters. I don't blame them, but what I'm saying is, if you watched any footage, the limited footage out there on Sulaiman Sagawa, you would have known that this guy is a dangerous, feisty individual. He is a fighter that can take a punch. He is a fighter that can give a punch. But he's not a fighter that's going to climb you up the ranks. In fact, he's going to keep you low in the ranks. He's not the kind of fighter that you beat and you get better as a result of. No, because those guys are at the top. To get better, you have to fight better competition. You don't do it the opposite. You don't take step back to get to the top. Maybe the wins may boost up your confidence. Maybe the wins may bring some eyes to your fights. In other words, it's like this. If the fighters are low ranked and you're higher ranked, it is presupposed that you're going to go out there and you're going to look like a destructive force. Why? Because those guys have not been tested as much as you have. Those guys do not have your skill set. That's why they're low and you're high, right? But that does not mean that those fighters do not have a puncher's chance. And that does not mean they don't even have skills. It just means they're not the favorite fighters. They don't have the big promotional machine out there for them. And they take a loss and they get bumped down, and because they're poor and they don't have the resources and fighting is their livelihood, they have to fight everybody that gives them an opportunity. So they take on a lot of fighters that are better than them. So they continue to lose. But because they're fighting better men, they're getting better themselves. So then there comes a happy medium where one guy has been fighting such better competition than him that naturally he's getting better, and the other guy that's better, he's taking steps back, fighting lower competition than them, so he's not learning, and they meet right in the middle of the path. And then the underdog surprises everybody. And the 25-1 underdog defeats the newly crowned featherweight WBC silver title holder. This fight was not the one. Ruben should have finished out his contract with Top Rank in. It should have been Josh Warrington, Lee Wood, Mick Conlon. Should have been El Venado Lopez. Why not? You've beaten him once before. It should have been the guy that Raymond Ford beat before he lost to that little feisty wrecking ball, Nick Ball. That's who he should have fought. Guys that have name recognition, that'll make you better, that have been former champions, that'll get you the bag, that'll spread your word out there about who you are to the world at large, open up markets. Those guys that can put up a fight, and you can beat them because you're better. You can beat them because you're fresher. You can beat them because you're younger. I do not blame Ruben Villa IV. Because like most fighters, they would just heed the advice of their trainers and their managers and whoever they faced him with. Put him against them, they'll fight him. A fighter's life is supposed to be quite simple. Put anybody in my path and my job is to fight him. I think the management did him wrong. I think they mismanaged his career. I think it either shows that the management wanted to continue to extend contracts in order to keep him busy and make some quick money off of soft touches without considering the fact that he was not get better and that any of these guys can spoil him just because they're unknown names that you can't get any footage on, and they come here to fight because that's what keeps them fighting, right? And maybe it also indicates that they didn't think that Ruben was ready for the big time. Now, I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, you tell me. We at Life with Warp Speed, the homie Ricky, Dream, were the biggest proponents of Ruben Villa. We're the ones who addressed his career more than any other channels. Why? Because we know how good he is. Because he represents a small town that's great. And we want the world to know how great we are. Salinas, California. Ruben Villa was better than what we saw over the weekend. Ruben Villa deserved to be out there fighting for a belt, making big money, representing the hometown that so closely follows his career. And instead, it seems we got a management that either didn't think he was ready or they wanted to peg him with soft touches for quick money without ever considering that he could lose. And that seems to be, in my opinion, a folly maneuver that exposed him to dropping the ranks in probably the biggest fight that he's had to date. Because it was even bigger than the El Venado Lopez fight, because El Venado Lopez, he fought him at a lower promotional company, Thompson Boxing Promotions, which is now defunct. It doesn't exist. It's been bought out by CBN, which I haven't seen CBN promote any fights in months now. Thompson promoted that fight. And if you weren't subscribed to the Thompson Promotions YouTube channel, or if you didn't have their app, you missed it. So what was the biggest fight that he had? Well, the one that El Vaquero, Emmanuel Navarrete, became champion at the featherweight, 126. And if I'm not mistaken, that fight took place during the pandemic. A low watched event for $155,000 split between the winner and the loser. And this fight, I believe, was bigger because he was a main event fighter, because he held a minor belt that was going to open up the doors. I blame the management. I do not blame Ruben. I believe he put up a hell of a fight. He showed grit. He showed a dog, like a lot of boxing fans like to say. I believe round 9 was the round of the year so far. Incredible display of resilience from young Drac. Incredible. He was about to get dropped. He was seriously hurt. He tucks his chin, bites his gum shield, and he throws with all force, clips his opponent to the body, makes the guy walk back. Ruben Villa starts going off on him, has some success, seriously hurts the guy. The guy smiles. The guy smiles in pain. Ruben Villa's chasing him to wrap it up. Time runs out. The guy recovers. Segawa starts taking the ladder rounds again. Tough, but he takes him, in my opinion. Suleiman Segawa wins as a 25-1 upset. If I'm not mistaken, he was a 25-1 upset. Ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, Drake deserved better than the 3 fights that he got under this 3-fight extension deal with Top Rank. I don't know if Top Rank will continue their contract or extend it. I don't think he's dropped any kind of stock as a fighter, because if anything, I think he looked great. Surviving, I think he looked great. Putting up a display of boxistic abilities, but it does not fare well for a highly touted amateur who has beaten a current champion before and who only lost to a former 3 division champion, and Emmanuel Navarrete, to lose to a fighter ranked in his 50s the way that he did. I think it won't affect his stock as a fighter. He'll definitely have chances to fight. But as far as climbing up the ranks, yeah, it's dropped him. Absolutely, it dropped him. Do I think he's going to have a chance to become a champion again? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, you tell me. Let's look at the names of featherweight. Shushu Carrington, Nick Ball, Ray Vargas, the biggest, most dangerous fighter, El Venado Lopez. Yes, a fighter that you've beaten, but in my opinion, in my estimation, the best fighter that's been on the biggest tear after a loss in boxing in years. That is what El Vaquero, that is what El Venado, Lopez has been. Can Ruben Villa climb up the ranks and still take on those fighters and still become victorious to become a champion one day, guys? You tell me. I ask you, Dream. I ask you, homie Ricky. Eddie Medi, Mr. Vince Vargas, good even fall to you, sir. Thank you very much for hopping on this here live. I am hoping you are well of health and sane of mind. But I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, do you see Ruben Villa ever becoming a champion? Do you agree that it is a management issue that affected his aspirations for greatness, for championhood, and for recompense? or am I completely just blowing hot air? Dream, are you there? Homie Ricky, are you there?
You hear me?
Yeah, who is this?
Do I sound far away or do I
Now you
sound
sound good. You sound good. In
yeah,
fact, you actually sound pretty loud and clear, sir.
really? It's coming from my new laptop. Like,
Nice.
yeah, man. But yeah, man. Really
Took
disappointed.
you 50 minutes.
Oh
Yeah.
dang! So this
God
guy,
damn, dude.
so Rick has
Took you
been on.
50 minutes, bro.
So Rick has been on for this whole time.
Yeah, he's been on for this whole time just listening to
I
me,
just
with my rant, which obviously the only reason he didn't interrupt is because everything I said was valid. Admit it. Bow down when you come to the town. Bow down.
on that man.
All right, all right. So, guys, what do you think, man? What went wrong?
Bro, I'm
Rick,
not gonna I'm not even gonna cause Ruben's our guy, bro. But honestly, bro, I gotta kinda agree with Adi Mary, bro. He just sucks, bro.
what?
That's just the reality, bro. Look, I love the effort that he gave. It was a very entertaining fight. But that dude Salawa is probably a C class fighter. And what does that make Ruben, bro? You know what I mean? I love Ruben. But like I've always said with the Garcia camp, this is not the first time with Ruben. This is with Eloy Perez when he fought Broner on HBO. Manuel Tina Avila when he fought Jojo Diaz with on Golden Boy. Paul Mendes and Gallo Negro on ESPN. They don't these I think they're Cuban trainers. They don't teach power. You have to be able to hurt people. Dude, that dude is a 16-4 fighter, bro. He was a 16-4 fighter. This isn't a Tank Davis 30-0. This isn't a Bivol 19-0 when he fought Canelo. This is a dude that weighed 4 pounds lighter than Ruben come fight night. Ruben weighed in 125.9. The other dude was 122.6 pounds, bro.
Crazy.
I love Ruben. I love the heart that he showed. But bro, that dude was tossing him like a rag doll, bro.
Yeah.
Hitting him with hooks, uppercuts. Um, like you just think to yourself, imagine if that was that 6'2" Ricardo Espinoza, bro.
Oh, you mean
Rafael
Rafael El Divino
Espinoza.
Espinosa? Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Rafael Espinoza. Imagine that was 6'2", bro. Like imagine that dude, a champion with heavy hands who can knock out guys like, you know, Roby C. Ramirez. Like with Rhea, bro, I love Rhea. He's a very respectful person, human being. But I mean, aside a jab, that's all he's got, bro. A jab and maybe a right hook. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let,
This is 4 or 5 fights that Ruben is supposed to knock these dudes out. Like knock them out. Like if you're
yeah.
the goods, you knock them out, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. If this was Naoya anyway, he probably knocks out Ruben Villa like he knocked out Stephen Fulton.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
yeah, and also want to play devil's advocate, right? Because I do agree with you, but the thing is,
It's heartbreaking, bro.
it's heartbreaking,
Damn.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
heartbreaking, and I don't know if I'm being delusional or I don't know if I'm spinning facts, right? Like, am I right or am I wrong? Like, Sagawa was hurt in this fight. He was
Yeah.
wobbled.
Yep.
He
He
was
was.
wobbled in this fight, and I think Ruben had what it took to really knock this dude out. It's just not his style. Like, he's just afraid of getting exposed, and Ruben was hurt as well, you
Yeah.
know. And I think he was kind of scared of that. And honestly, parts of the fight, man, I kind of seen Ruben like a little twitchy, like a little nervous, a little bit. Just
Yeah.
the way he was just little subtle movements. You can see a confident fighter when he's winning, and you can see someone who's actually like a shook. And they try to play it off really well. I think Ruben played it off really well because he's just used to winning so much, bro. Like he's used to getting spoken about in high regards, and he just this one hurts, But
Yeah.
I think it's also, man, it's just like when the first part you said right about the Garcias, it did kind of like when you said that, I was like, man, maybe it was too good to be true for the Garcias, because I mean, Ruben has what it takes, man, to be a world champion. He's beaten one before, and I just feel like
No,
he.
no, he beat a young Venado who
That's true.
wasn't a champion. We didn't know how good Venado was going to be, and when Ruben fought him, he had already lost once. Like, make no mistake, Venado was a soccer player turned boxer, bro. You know what I mean? So we don't really know what he's capable of until now. Now it takes time. So Ruben, is gonna take him a little longer, bro. But yeah, man, keep going.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where like this guy Sagawa has been knocked out by a dude by like Jermaine Ortiz, and we were saying this the other day, and I just feel like Ortiz wasn't hitting like that, But you see why Sagawa got knocked out before, and he gets wobbled. He gets wobbled, but he's relentless. It's about the tenacity, bro. Like you're the will to win, right? And I just feel like Ruben is just so yeah, he has a great IQ, but I feel like having a great IQ kind of makes you play it safe a little too much, and he just kind of came out firing, bro, like Sagawa did. And when I seen that, I was nervous from the get go. I was nervous from the round one, and I was like, shit, And I was looking at the odds, and there was live betting odds, and I was like, nah, this can't be true. Ruben cannot lose this to this guy. And I remember seeing like 300. No, it was at 400 plus 400, and I'm like, no, I was just in complete denial, and I was like, nah, Ruben's gonna come back. And matter of fact, I forget which round it was. He started like coming back, and this is like I forget which round it was, seven or eight, or even six. He started to like realize like shit, like we're halfway through the fight. I need to start dominating and use my jab and just really let my hands go a lot more. Ruben was not letting his hands go. He was just frozen, and I was like, bro, like why aren't you just let your hands go, man? Um, he's just an amateur style, bro. He's stuck in the amateur style, and I just feel like w- what he has can be taught, or what when he needs to be taught can be taught, right? It's not like one of those things where he um he doesn't know where to improve. I feel like coaching is the variable, bro, and I just feel like he needs that at this point of his life. Um, he needs other types of people telling him what to do now. You know, I need more resilient. He's resilient. I need more urgency from him. And I just feel like Ruben's pedigree is just something you cannot deny, bro. Literally when they were introducing him, they said they finally put wins over Shakur and Devin, and it's just like that means like that's a lot, bro. Like he didn't just beat those guys; he beat plenty of other guys as well. But it's
Yeah.
just like it's hard to believe a dude that wins, who has beaten world champions and some of the best fighters out there,
Hmm.
is losing the way he is right now. And it just
Hmm.
shows you it's about the urgency. Most guy there's a dude named Reagan or something like that. Duke Reagan or something like that. I feel like he's so similar to that dude. You know, if you see Duke Reagan, he's built. He has a strong amateur pedigree. He just tries to play it safe. He only has like one knockout, and um, and I just feel like dudes like that, like Ruben, it's just let your fucking hands go, man. And I just feel
So,
like, yeah, go ahead.
so I don't know if I necessarily agree with that dream, and I'll tell you why. You mentioned the kind of fighters that Ruben Villa the fourth Drag has beaten when as an amateur. We know that the amateur ranks is way different than the pros. So the fact that Drag beat men like Shakur Stevens and Devin Haney as an amateur doesn't mean nothing in the pros. Whole different ball game, right? In fact, I would say that if he had beaten those guys as an amateur, uh, then he should have been fighting like an amateur here in the pro ranks, because then that would have benefited him, because he would have won, because a lot of what takes place in the amateurs really is point based, right? Just a point, a point, a point, uh, jabs, he would have gotten them there. In fact, I disagree with your analysis of the fight. I think Ruben fought his heart out. I don't think he played it too safely. In fact, the reason he exposed himself out there was because he was continuously in the fight trying to dog it out. And in fact, I think that's great that he did that, because as a co-main event opportunity, he had to go out there, like you state, to knock out his opponent. And I think he did everything. The sense of urgency, yeah, that's a good price for that. The sense of urgency, the sense the sense of urgency, I do agree with. Why? Because
I thought,
his
I thought,
trainers, his corners, should have known that he was gonna be definitely on the back on the points. He would have been losing. They should have told him, go out there, go out there, go out there, and get it done, knock him out or do something. And there was moments towards later on in the fight that it looked like he was still trying to point his way in to victory. When, in my opinion, he was competitive, but he was losing the majority, clearly the majority of the rounds. And I didn't even think it was going to be a draw if he continued to point his way to the end of the fight. He had to fight with a little more urgency in some moments. I think he tried when he was hurt. I think when he hurt his opponent, he really tried to go out there for the kill. But the transfer of power in his punches, because
I,
of his more
yeah,
defensive nature, didn't lend itself to that. If he planted himself more out there, if he had maybe taken a couple of more camps with, let's say, Robert Garcia, I think he would have, he would have been able to get
well,
him out there.
that's where he usually gets his sparring, right? But I just feel like Sagawa, I mean, Ruben was the cleaner fighter. He was the more polished fighter. The
Yeah,
other guy just had more urgency. Like there
and
was
power.
and power, and he didn't have a great defense because he was there to get hit. Ruben just wasn't letting his hands go, and it's like, dude, for the first time, I actually kind of seen him hold. You know, he was holding for his life, and not for his life, but so
Well, for his life, yeah,
yeah, yeah, sure. And I just want to be a jerk, like we're treading lightly here. Like we
yeah.
still want this guy to be world champ. Like I'm trying to visualize this guy being a champion again, and what
And
he has
that's
to do.
the question that I asked. Let me ask you, Dream. Is there a path at featherweight for Ruben Villa IV to become a champion? In your opinion, I don't see it.
Oh, it looks like he's off. Is he,
Who?
Rick?
Oh, I don't know if he's there or not. I'm asking you though. Do you
Oh, oh,
see?
oh, my bad. Because you said Rick, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. No, I said Dream.
Dream. Oh, my bad. Shit, I didn't hear you. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like there's dudes out there that have holes in their game. It's just they let their hands go a lot more. You know. Oh shit, my power went out.
Uh,
Oh wait, no, it's just literally my power went out. Shit. All right. Well, anyways, my shit still works, but yeah, man. Yeah. So I just feel like switching trainers is another big thing.
yeah.
Uh, I think he should switch trainers. It's just a change of environment. We want that dog to come out. We want him to be angry more. We know Ruben's a nice dude, but inside the ring, you got to become less nice to these guys. I was watching a dude named Chop Chop. I forget. I think his last name's Gonzalez or something like that. He's a Robert Garcia fighter. I'm trying to visualize how this guy spars this guy. Like how does sparring go? Like, does he kind of fight? Does Chop Chop fight or spar Ruben? Because they're in the same division, so I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure they sparred. But Chop Chop is come forward fighter, bro. Like
yeah,
I love watching Chop Chop. Like he's one of like first time I seen him was on Saturday, and
yeah.
I just like the way he fights. He's a come forward fighter, and he's a somewhat polished. He has defense. Um, because he was blocking shots, but this guy's just a come forward fighter, and he
He's
punches
fun,
hard.
huh?
He's a fun fighter to watch. I like him. But I'm visualizing like how he did with Ruben. Like, was that not enough work for Ruben? Like that dude Chop Chop could have knocked out Sagawa. You know,
Do you think
uh,
so?
dude, Chop Chop is good, bro. He's fucking good. But
Look, you know that Sagawa, when you mentioned that he lost to the Jermaine, the technician or professor, whatever he calls himself, Ortiz. You know that they brought up Suleiman Sagawa 10 pounds from featherweight to lightweight in order to fight that guy. Did you know that? That's why he ended up getting himself knocked out. Suleiman Sagawa is a 125-pound fighter, and they brought him up to lightweight to fight
but
Jermaine Ortiz.
he was also in the Uganda team. He was in the national team, so he wasn't no slouch either. Like he was representing his country in the Olympics.
Yeah, but what did he do there? I mean, every country has to have a representative in the sports. Doesn't mean that they do anything good about it. I mean, Rwanda or what is it? Rwanda?
Sagawa,
Sagawa? No, 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 no. Where is he from again?
Uganda.
Uganda. Uganda's a small country, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
what fighters out there of recognition in the sport of boxing do you know that have come from Uganda? Not
Uganda.
many. No, wait, that's no. Isn't that from? Is he from Uganda?
Nah, I'm messing with you.
No, he's from Ghana.
He's from. I thought he was from Cameroon.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think maybe you're right, man. But yeah, no, I just think that when you look at a fighter like that and actually think about that, Sagawa fights at 126, no higher than 126, and every time that they've stepped him up in the bigger fights, and especially the ones that he's lost, they've always brought him up in weight, and he is able to go up to 135 to take on somebody like Jermaine Ortiz, yeah, get knocked out or whatever, to that guy and still come back down to the mid 120s in order to fight somebody like Ruben Villa. Man, you have to just give credit to these kind of fighters. The I don't know if you would call them gatekeepers
Now I
or
think
journeymen or whatever that are able to keep up the work and the athleticism, the dedication to the sport in order to climb up and down of divisions just to fight. Man, God bless those guys.
yeah, and I just feel like Ruben will cook. So like if you're a prospect moving up, you'll see guys improve, right? You'll see these guys have better jabs, better like more power,
Yeah.
and I feel like there's tests before you get to the guy that has the complete package, right? I feel like
Mhm.
Ruben, it has one of those tools where if you're lacking that, he's gonna he's gonna give you a hard time for that night, and
Mhm.
I just feel like Ruben, I don't want to call him a gatekeeper, man. I don't want to call him a gatekeeper. It's just if you're lacking that jab, jab is if you don't have a jab and all you do is load up on your punches, it's like I can see Ruben beating a certain caliber fighter, and upsetting another good fighter. It's just Sagawa. Yeah, it's just how can it? Why would it happen to Sagawa, man? Why would Sagawa beat someone like Ruben? Like I'm just in shock, bro. I'm in
Well,
shock, and
actually, let me give you guys a little back,
Yeah.
just a little thing from Suleiman. Well, he had actually a lot of things in favor against Ruben Villa, man. And like I said, before we let's actually talk about that. First, he had actually fought at higher weight classes, up to 135, right?
Mhm.
To your point, even though he's got like 4 or 5 losses, they were against guys like Abraham Nova, Jermaine Ortiz, Ruben or Robert William Foster, the guy that beat Edwin de los Santos. And then he lost to this Argentinian Mirko Cuello. And he's only been stopped by one guy, and that was Jermaine Ortiz. And Ruben only campaigns as far as 126. You see, this is what I've always talked about. It's like, and we've mentioned this in the past. Um, why can't Ruben move up in weight classes? Why has he always stayed at 126? Why can't he go up to 130 and fight Oscar Valdez? Why can't he go up to 135 or try to go to 122? Segawa, he weighed in at 122.6 and has campaigned at 135. I've always said this before. A lot of these weight classes, it's plus or minus 2, 3, 4 pounds. Segawa fluctuates between 10. Bro, when I used to spar, we used to spar dudes like 30 pounds bigger than you. And then obviously you might not be able to take their punch, but the thing is, it's like, and that's the problem with Ruben. And it's just like, look, bro, if you really have the skills, then you can compete in these higher weight classes. But there's a reason why guys like Bivol has only campaigned at 175. David Benavides only at 168. When he tests the waters at 175, or where they're no longer the big guy, you really get to see that they're not pound for pound fighters. Now, Ruben is a good fighter. He's a very good boxer. I'm extremely proud of his resolve to be mentally focused when shit isn't going his way. Like, he could have bitched out and quit any single time that he wanted in that fight, but he never did. He kept going. His trainers, not just Garcia, but his son, they were giving him good instruction. It's like, look, bro, we're gonna have to dog this one out and probably win by knockout. We're far behind on the unofficial scorecard. Like, they were being truthful on Ruben. But here's the problem, and this is what we've always talked about many years into our first podcast.
Dog it out in the beginning.
Not just not just dog it out. Like, you have maybe 2-3 rounds, right? It's because it's scheduled for 10. 2-3 rounds to make that quick adjustment. All right, dude, today I gotta put on a stinker so I don't lose my position to get a title shot, or I can rock and sock him, with this dude. He could not fight this dude. He had to put on a stinker and circle and move. And here's the thing about being a pure boxer, is that you have to be pure and you have to be perfect if you don't have power. See, power is that equalizer where you can be flawed in everything else, but if you have that punch, you can get opponents to stop. Ruben doesn't have that power to get the other dude who stopped from coming forward. You see, and he hit him good with a body shot. You said he hit him with a body shot in the 9th round that it looked like it was gonna hurt him. Yeah, it did. It did hurt him. But the dude recovered well for the next final 10th round, and you can see Ruben's face deter. And you can see him like, man, dude, this is slipping away. It's already gone. I've hit this motherfucker with everything I got. It was just very unfortunate. Again, I'm not going to say that this dude is, he's up there. But, like, again, some of these losses of fighters are extremely misleading. We talk about not the Gary Russells, the Gabe Rosados of the world, right? Dude, look at this guy. He beat Ruben Villa 22-1. He went to the decision where the guy who's 13-0. He beat this dude that's 23-1, 14-2, right? He had a no contest with a fighter that's 15-1. Jermaine Ortiz, 13-0. Had a draw against this dude named Zora Hamazarian, 9-1. Elijah Pierce, 9-1. Gadwin Rosa, he beat 10-0. Went to the decision with Abraham Nova, 12-0. He beat Hector Lopez Jr., 10-0. William Foster, he lost 7-0. Beat dude from Alejandro Salinas, 9-1. 6-0. Like, this dude is battle tested, bro. This dude is battle tested. Like, his road has not been easy, and he's not laying down. You know what I mean? And there is like no fight footage of this dude. Like, it's very scarce. And with Ruben, it was just, I'm not saying that he was set up to lose, because no, you're not set up to lose. To your point, Speed, he was already on the WBC Instagram page. He was all of these dudes' platform because they were seeing him as the next one. But again, if you're that guy to beat this dude, or to become a champion, or to become undisputed, you have to be able to knock these dudes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I alluded to that, the homie Ricky. I think I alluded to that. What you're saying,
like, also, hold on.
is
but
that
also this. Hold on, wait. Also this. We talked about.
You're not going to tell me what to do on my channel, buddy.
Emmanuel Navarrete is not that good, right? But he has that power. Like, you saw how flawed he is. You know what I mean? And he's very uncoordinated. He doesn't even it looks like he doesn't even care about properly training. He doesn't have a nutritionist, or
that's what he said. He said,
you know what I mean? And Navarrete is extremely mediocre, right? But he has that power. And it's no way in the world that Ruben should have that's one. Man, dude, it's just fucking upsetting.
I don't think he has power.
Look. I think that's contradictory what you're saying, right? Because you're saying that you're basically saying that the only reason Emmanuel Navarrete won is because he has that power, right? Yeah. So yeah, And you're saying Ruben Villa shouldn't have lost to that guy, even though Ruben Villa doesn't have the power, but yet Emmanuel Navarrete does. When you want Ruben Villa to win convincingly by having power. So what I'm
No, no.
saying
It's
is
what I'm
power,
saying is this.
power is underrated. Power is definitely underrated when it comes to the sport of boxing. People do not give enough credit to powerful individuals because they think skills trump everything. In fact, a lot of what takes place in the sport of boxing, especially when we're considering the underdogs, the upsets of the year, everything has to do with power.
No, no, correct. So that's what I'm saying when it comes down to Ruben. It's one of those hypocrisies in the sport of boxing where, like, oh man, the best boxer, like if you had a chart and all you're lacking is power, well, this dude is 9 out of, and Emmanuel Navarrete only has the one, right? Like if there was a category of a chart, 10 items, right? Speed, footwork, defense, chin, all heart, whatever the case may be. Ruben checks off all those things, but power. And then there's a guy like Navarrete who's like throwing a left hook and he throws a right hook just to offset his off balance. He's reaching. He has a ridiculous shoulder roll. He throws punches from Timbuktu, from fucking gazelle punches from 10 feet yards away, lunging. Like every single thing that you're not supposed to do, this dude can do. And you have yet all of these things and you can't beat him. Now, in this case, the Suleiman Segawa, he didn't have bad footwork. He didn't have the best defense, but his chin was up. It looked like you can see his mouthpiece the whole time. From the first round, his mouth was open. And it's just like you're supposed to be able to knock these dudes out. So you can't say that Top Rank set you up. It's just Ruben isn't that guy. If you can't beat these dudes and you can't knock them out, who's to say that you can knock out a Venado Lopez? Who's to say that you can knock out or rematch Navarrete and knock him out, or a guy who's 6'1" and Rafael Espinoza, El Divino, or a Ray Vargas, or a Nick Ball, or a Brandon
Yeah.
Figueroa? Like,
So
bro, power cannot be, but
look,
it
guys.
somehow is. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, the thing is this:
it's
Ruben,
shocking, bro.
the
I'm not
Ruben.
saying I couldn't believe what I was watching. It's just like, obviously we're rooting for Ruben. That was an amazing fight. Regardless, his stock dropped significantly because if you're just an outsider, see, we kind of know not like Ruben on a personal level, whatever the case may be, but he's from our city, so we're always vouching for him. But if I'm an outsider and we see that Ruben is supposed to be this Mexican American, and we don't know nothing about Suleiman Segawa, you're almost thinking to yourself like, damn, bro, this dude got beat by a bum. And we can't call Segawa a bum, but that's how people perceive it. Like, dude, you got beat by nobody. What does that say about you? You know what I mean? Like Adi Medi goes, he has no ties or associations to Ruben. He goes, dude, I'm gonna see him on Pro Box, and if he loses, sayonara.
So
And that's how
the
the
thing
rest
is
of the
this:
world sees him. You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
think. Look, it's simple, right? It's simple. A lot of the world does not know who Ruben is. In fact, this fight may have been one of the biggest opportunities for the world to be introduced to Ruben. That's in my opinion. And if anybody saw this fight for the first time, never knowing anything about Ruben or even Sagawa, I think they would have said, "Man, these guys put up a hell of a fight. Look at that
Yeah,
kid right there.
absolutely.
Look at that kid right there with the red hair, with the orange hair, and his eye closed, his left eye closed, bleeding from the nostrils. He's still keeping up a fight. Look at this guy. He's about to stop him. Wow, is he just about to get knocked out and he just survived that and he's about to knock out his fellow opponent?
Right.
That's what they would have saw in Ruben. So I don't think his
Absolutely.
stock
No,
as a
no, no,
fighter
no.
went down, but I do think that so in that case, his stock as a fighter did not go down. His
Wait.
stock and
See,
the oppression of the people that have never seen him, it didn't go down. But when it comes to the hardcores that know about his history, that know about his potential, the people that have been following him for years, like all three of us, then we know how deleterious, we know how harmful this last performance was to
so
his
check this
career.
out.
We saw the WBC just today. The WBC, they showed I don't know, 30 seconds short of Villa and Sagawa going balls to the wall. And you know what they didn't show? They didn't show Sagawa looking beat up. They didn't show Ruben looking beat up. It looked like both of them were in the fight. So what does that What does that make you think? What does that lead you to believe when they're making a promo making both fighters look good, when in fact there was one guy that was looking better than the other, and that would have been Sagawa? The fact of the matter is, if you follow any of these these sanctioning bodies, the WBC, WBA, WBO, and the IBF, they always showcase the winner. They always showcase
Look,
snippets of the fight when those winners are victorious, because they want to promote the champion. In the case of Sagawa, I assure you that WBC did not care for Sagawa, a fighter that has no name recognition, that comes from a country that has not produced any kind of champions or fighters of note. I assure you they would not have cared for him to win, but they would have liked a Mexican American from the United States of America, and from one of the more populous states in the nation, California. A guy who had a standout career fighting the guys and beating Shakur Stevens, fighting the likes of Devin Haney and beating those guys. They would have loved for him to become the guy that they would have showcased the 30-second snippet of how victorious it was in the fight. And when they didn't, you knew that they really cared for Ruben to win. And that hurt them when it didn't happen.
look, and honestly, like I was just thinking right now, the only way I can think this was any kind of the only way I could think of that it benefited Ruben, like this loss. A loss doesn't benefit in any way, but in a sense, it changes the way you look at a fighter, and maybe because he said Venado turned him like isn't willing to fight him, and he's in the IBF, I believe, right? Or IBF, WBA, I forget which one. Uh, so he decided to go to the WBC route. What if he goes to the other sanctioning bodies? What if he goes those routes? Do you think it gets any easier than does in the WBC?
Well, so to answer first your question, Drew, so Venado rocks the red and gold, right? The IBF 49er champion.
Okay.
So I believe Ruben went the other route to the WBC one. That's why he had the WBC silver. So he was looking to fight, I don't know, Ray Vargas or Brandon Figueroa or whoever right now is currently the champion. He looked to go that route because Venado did not want to go. So, you just pay the sanctioning fees and, you just send out an email and you enroll yourself in their clean boxing program, whatever. And that's why they have him rated at the number 2 spot. They did. So right now, bro, he's got to start from scratch. You have to work yourself back up in the rankings and hope that, these promotional companies have some type of sympathy towards you. But if they didn't want to fight you when you were like a contender and a top 5 and almost a mandatory, what makes you think they're going to want to fight you coming off a loss? He's going to have to, fight a guy who's up and coming and be like, whether like fight a Gabe Flores that's going to get you that notoriety or that exposure that you need to kind of bypass like something like Venado. But right now, Ruben is kind of like stuck between a hard place and a rock, right? Like it's like where do we go? Where do I see myself going? And the reality is maybe you can try to rematch this guy, and just be like, hey, bro, like you caught me off guard, good shit. Let's run it back, see if I can rectify this fucking mistake, or maybe
That's
not. Like who knows? But
that's like doubling up, and that's double or nothing type of thing right there.
I mean, shit, what else can you do? But you could go feed Boots to Virgil. Oh, okay. I thought it was like
I
feed
know.
Ruben to Boots. I was like, yo,
I know.
what?
Me too.
Let me see. But to reinforce your point, Speed, there was a okay. You were talking about like, oh, if you're just an outsider looking at this Ruben fight, you want to see more of it because he had that comeback spirit and never give up attitude in the 9th round. You and me might say that. The hardcore, an MMA fight might say that. Are you not entertained? Absolutely. But in the sport of boxing fans are extremely fickle, bro. They look at your resume. They look at, oh, you're undefeated. And when you see Ruben's record, which is a very good record, but who you got beat, and that's how you looked against them, it's almost to the point, like Adi Medi said, oh, now you're on Pro Box. And it's just like, you're no longer a top-ranked fighter. You know what I'm saying? You're not ranked anymore. Well, he is, but I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like top rank has a cachet of being perfect, unblemished, a champion, a knockout artist, a top tier fighter. Right now, we don't really know that. And I think for the first time, Ruben doesn't know either. He has
Yeah,
doubt. Now that
yeah,
doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to quit. Look, an educated boxing fan who knows a thing or two or is forgiving, for sure they're gonna be like that. But let me tell you this: that's not how the Mexican American rolls, bro. They really don't support their people like that. I love Ruben. I will always support him. I can't wait to see what his next fucking fight is. Me, I would love for him to rematch this dude. But I gotta call a spade and be straight, like honest. Bro, you need to fucking have and develop a Manny Pacquiao left hand. Go hire an Alex Ariza, a fucking Memo Heredia, or somebody like that, bro. You need to be a two-handed fighter. Jabs and right hooks can take you a long way, for sure. But you need, well, in his case, a left hand, bro. Like, you need power because you have to get these other dudes to stop. It's not just looking at 126. It's also guys like at 130. You know what I mean? And power, I don't care how big or how small you are. If Oscar Valdez, who's like 5'3", or Nick Ball, who's 5'2", if they can develop power, I don't see why Ruben couldn't. You know what I mean? They're doing something in their training regimen that you're not getting in the Max Garcia Academy. And I don't have to, and I'm not gonna blame on Ruben. The coaching, they told him what he needed to do, but this is something that you have to prepare for, in the war room when you're chalking it up in the board and your game plan. You see, it's one of those things. I was talking to my dad the other day, right? I think it was the Colombia versus Argentina yesterday, and we were like talking about power. How a lot of these Salinas fighters don't have power. The only two that I know that have power, two or three, is Angel Chavez, Jorge Maravillo, and Justin the Stallion Cardona, right? But if you look at Jorge Maravillo and how he's training how to box. And what made him great when he was an amateur is his power. Angel Chavez, if you look at him at 168, 175, he has power. But like he has good little Canelo like bobbing and moving, slipping, but like he don't throw enough punches. So he's always had stamina problems since he was a kid, and even more so now. Justin, he's fucking strong as hell, but then he needs to learn more boxing. So you have to really be honest with yourself. And I
yeah,
hope Ruben is honest with himself and is like, all right, dude, whatever I need to develop that Manny Pacquiao left. Once he has that, he will become a champion. But on a jab, it's rarely going to knock people out. A hook,
yeah.
it might be. Like you saw, he hooked him to the body. But yeah, man, a less forgiving Mexican-American fan base, you know, but look at the comments, bro. I think I was one of the only ones that were like really supportive of Ruben Villa, and I loved what I saw. But like almost the people from Salinas are like tearing them down, and they're like, "Oh man, I spent all this money to go watch you in Vegas, and you fucking lost. Like, what the fuck?" And I'm just like,
Right?
"Yo, bro, what the fuck? Like, bro, you tripping? Like, what? Like he showed great heart, bro. It's just the other dude was much better than we anticipated. Like,
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing.
fucking
I'll tell you
Navarrete
one
didn't
thing
even have
about
Ruben's Villa's face looking like that, bro. But
that.
this dude
Doesn't surprise
Sagawa
me.
did.
It doesn't surprise me that the comments have been negative from the people of Salinas. Salinas people, there is a band of negative minded individuals, right? Like small towns, we have our problems, we have our competitive nature, we have to work hard, we have to do a little extra to stand out. And in fact, growing up, one of the things that a lot of people used to say about our hometown was that it was boring and too laid back. There was nothing to do. They continued to talk about wanting to move out because they compared the little town Salinas to nearby cities such as Santa Cruz, San Jose, San Francisco, where all those crazy things were popping back in the day, and they would talk bad about Salinas. So there was always a type of people that, even though they may have been born and raised, they always talked about moving out because this town was too small for their liking. It did not proffer the opportunities for growth, personal development, and all kinds of things. And guess what? All of a sudden, everybody wants to live the small town life. Everybody wants to get out from the big cities, the squalor, the spoils, the rotten core of these cities, especially in California, right? And now they want little towns like Salinas. And now we've actually come to a point in our existence as a town. I think we just celebrated about 150 years of existence or something like that, maybe 100, I forget, 125 perhaps, about a couple of months ago. And we just had a very big, very important 4th of July celebration that brought out the whole community. And now we are understanding that we have something very significant to protect here, something very beautiful and communal. We have a very special little place in the world. And Ruben Villa IV was only gonna augment the greatness of such a little town, and he failed. But it does not mean we stop being great. It
But
does not mean he
yeah,
stops being a good fighter. But you can tell from those comments right there, those commenters, there's still that little competitive nature that it has all these people thinking they're better than us. They're better than Salinas. The guys spend a lot of money to go to Las Vegas and he lost. Guess what? The guy is competing. This is reality. You win or lose, you get yourself up. You take a bullet, graces your ear, you go up the next day, and you still go out there and show your face to the world. This is what Ruben V is gonna do. He's gonna get up from his defeat while you sit down there in your couch, armchair quarterbacking the career, thinking that you know anything about fighting when you just laxed and sedentary in your weakened state as a fan. Anybody that says anything bad about Ruben Villa solely because he lost,
can get these
guess
hands.
what? You can not only get these hands, you can get the disrespect that comes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
no, man, for
hold
sure.
on. Go ahead.
No, man, like one of those
He's breaking
things
up. He's breaking up.
where I mean, just everybody wanted him to win, bro, for sure. It's like, this was a showcase to you guys' point. He got bumped up. But remember, the people that were watching this on the app, obviously they could be avid supporters that were tuning in. But this had the co-main. This was co-main event. This was supposed to be his showcase night.
I know.
Kind of like steal the light in the spotlight over
Yeah.
Murataya and Tevin Farmer to really like, if you win by knockout here, you're going to get that title shot. There's no fucking way. If
I
you
know.
sleep this dude, for sure.
Yep.
But, one of the
That's what hit
hugest
hard.
upsets of the month, possibly the year, occurred, So it's one of those things where, like, you have to ask yourself, all right, where do we go from here? And, yeah, it'll be really tough. Again, maybe Top Rank can be forgiving and put the context. It's like, hey, bro, you fought a really good fighter who has fought up as high as 135, has beaten dudes like, Elijah Peters and other fighters, and went the distance with all of these dudes that were ex-champions or on the cusp of being champions, like Abraham Nova, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see, man. I'm glad there was a post that Ruben put, that he said that Jack will be back. So I'm really excited. I don't know what the timetable would be, but I would hope that he would fight sometime this year. I mean, we're just at the halfway point, so it doesn't seem unreasonable. But at the same time, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going on in his head, and he probably feels, like he was looking at his dad at the corner, and he was probably like, and his dad was like, bro, don't even worry about it, bro. That was a great ass fight. I'm fucking proud of you. But man, it was tough, man. It was tough to see the homie
And
get fuck, that was hard. Yeah.
And this is why Ruben can't give up, man. Like he has so many kids, bro, that he looked up to, like that look up to him. I mean, and dude, and I'm not even trying to be like cliche like or anything, but like a lot of kids fucking look up to this guy and started boxing because of this guy.
Yeah.
A lot of kids in my gym for rock boxing, like you can tell, like they're talking about it. It amped them up a little bit more because of a Salinas fighter was fighting on TV on a co-main with world champion implications. Like it showed them that they can also do it. That hey, like literally the same struggle we're all going through. Like you can still do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he put
Yeah, it's just
he
gonna
moved,
take Ruben a little longer.
but he moved.
And
Yeah.
you know
And
what? That's all right. That's his road to
yeah.
redemption. That's his story. It ain't over until he says it's over. You know
Yeah,
what I
Yeah.
mean?
And two things.
So he's got time, bro. He's 26, so it's all right. But this is a major setback, and he's
Nice.
gonna need a major comeback.
But
Whether that means go down to 122, whether that means, all right, dude, fuck it, I'll fight Oscar Valdez at 130. He's got to like fucking tell people, hey, like this happened. I miscalculated this fight. The dude was better than expected. Boom, let's get the show going. He's gonna have to this set him back, but he can also it ain't over, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
look,
So
Juan Manuel
here's two
Marquez,
things, guys.
Jar
I'm just
Hawkins,
gonna.
they lost their first fight. Man,
Yeah.
you talk for like 50 minutes, man.
I'm just gonna sum it up. I'm just gonna sum it up and just say if two things, right? Two things. I'm just gonna sum it up. One, what is going on with Ruben right now? Where I think who is it? Was it Vince? The homie Ricky says, well, Ruben, Mr. Vince Vargas states Ruben had the crowd behind him. Yeah, if you guys saw, the Salinas folks showed out. They showed up and represented. They were very loud. They obviously spent a lot of money to cheer them on. How do I know this? Because they were loud and clear. They got ringside seats. This is how invested these guys are. But I will say this about little towns like that, and I guess it applies to every other place, right? When you're on top, everybody wants to be your friend.
Yup, absolutely.
When you're down and out, they turn their back on you. And the second thing about that is what the homie Ricky and Dream just said. He has to get himself up. If you guys don't know what Salinas is about, it's always about getting yourself up. This is not the end. Ruben Villa is going to be back. Ruben Villa the third is going to be back, and I can't wait
The
to
fourth.
see him on the fourth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to other things, because this one is obviously a heartbreaker, but this one is most recently, and I just want to get your guys' opinion, because I'm gonna fess up here. I'm gonna confess. Jaron Boots Ennis fought over the weekend. He ended up fighting Evanesian. You know, he put up a very convincing fight. He ended up beating his opponent, who he now shares a common foe with, Terrence Bud Crawford and David Evanesian. He stopped him in 5 rounds. The guy didn't come out for the 6th, and I will confess, I did not watch it. So I'm gonna ask you guys if you guys watched it. I want to ask the chat. I want to ask the homie Ricky. I want to ask Dream, and I want to ask Abner Ortega and El Pachuco. Good even fall to you. I hope you are well of health and sane of mind, mi Boricua brother, and of course, mi Tejano carnal. I want you guys to tell me, what did I miss by not having watched David Evanesian get destroyed and made to quit at the hands of Jaron Boots Ennis, a fighter that fought in front of 18,000 some odd people in Philadelphia. It's the biggest fight in 45 years since Marvin Hagler beat some guy over there in his hometown, and no one has taken up that former fighting city and blown it up. It seems that Jaron Boots Ennis has done that exactly. It seems like Mr. Eddie Hearn has opened up markets in the United States. We know that he's opened up Phoenix, Arizona. We know that he's also opened up Dallas in the Arlington, Texas region. And now it seems he's opened up the markets in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. But I want you guys to tell me, what did I miss? And we will, of course, be talking about what this means between a possible fight between Boots Ennis and, of course, Terrence plus Crawford. Why do I talk about that? Knowing that Boots Ennis just most recently got handed a title on a vacancy to become a champion at welterweight. And you're saying, well, why would we discuss that when Terrence Bud Crawford is making his inaugural debut against Ismail Madrimov in the city of Los Angeles, California at 154? Well, because as reported on Boxing News 24, written by a so-called Robbie Banatin, he states Boots Ennis considers a 154-pound move amid unification roadblocks at welterweight. Ladies and gentlemen, Boots Ennis became a email champion who defended against a fighter that gave a pretty good account of himself against Terrence Bud Crawford. But of course, he got knocked out when Terrence Bud Crawford's glove started to rip. 30 seconds after being told that they're going to stop the fight if this goes on, He ends up being knocked out at the hands of Bud, and now he was stopped by Boots Ennis. He's apparently gonna have issues with making fights to unify with men such as Stanionis, Emantis Stanionis, and Mario Barrios, and the guy at top rank, who his name is Brian Norman Jr., and he put up a hell of a fight against Giovanni Santillan. It seems at 147 it's gonna be hard for Boots to get those fights. I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what did I miss over the weekend with Boots' fight?
Well, even going further back, man,
Hmm.
Zepeda. I don't know if you've talked about Zepeda versus Giovanni Cabrera, man, but there was that fight as well. But I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't see Boots Ennis versus David Avanesian. Honestly, I really wasn't interested in his homecoming fight. You know, he did what he is supposed to do, and he was supposed to knock out a 35-year-old David Avanesian, who's way removed past his prime, who has like less than a month or two notice to prepare for Boots Ennis, right? Because he was supposed to fight Cody Crawley. So this was a showcase fight for Boots, and though I mean, look, the way I look at Boots is I look at him like a prospect still, because even though he's a champion, like like Bud was undisputed, and to the point where when the champion moves up in weight, they get relinquished. This was basically Boots's and his championship fight, or maybe it was the Roman Villa fight. But he's basically like what we call an email champ, right? Where he's email the belt because he didn't really beat the champion or an ex-champion to become one, right? He's beating other contenders. So a lot of people want to anoint him as, oh, he's the face of the welterweight division. So there's guys like Mario Barrios, then there's guys like Brian Norman Jr., then there's guys like Iamanta Stanionis. All of them, they're all in the same boat, and that's where I put Boots. Boots, right now, he has the machine backing him, and that's Eddie Hearn. Where Stanionis might be better than him, but who's Stanionis' promoter, right? Mario Barrios, we don't really know. So right now, the welterweight division is pretty weak, and a lot of people want to be like, "Oh, you got to see Boots. He's the face of the division." Whatever the case may be. So I didn't watch the fight. I did see the highlights. Boots looked good. I mean, he looked good. He looked fast and powerful, but he was getting hit. I've always liked David Avanesian. I think he's a solid opponent, a good little fighter, fundamental, kind of like like a weaker version of Mean Machine, but he's still good. He's got good punches. Like, he knows boxing. But the thing is, it's like David Avanesian has never really been a true champion. At one time when he beat Shane Mosley, I think he was a WBA regular, but he was never really that guy. But if you're not the guy, he's going to upset guys like Josh Kelly from the UK. I would favor David Avanesian to beat like a Conor Benn. That's not on the eggs, right? But that's Boots. That's Boots, bro. Like, Boots looks good. Only time will tell if he's gonna be that guy at 147, if he can beat all of those dudes. But just like anything, we'll see what Eddie Hearn can pander to him. Cook up some, contracts and see who he's gonna fight next. The rumor is that they're gonna try to make an offer to Iamanta Stanionis, who just fought this, I think Ecuadorian or Colombian Olympian fighter, Gabriel Maestre. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, bro. But, yeah, man, I don't think you missed much about Boots. A showcase fight in Philadelphia, and he did exactly that. He put on a knockout for his people. Supposedly they did great in terms of selling out the stadium and opening new sections of it. So it's great that the city of Philly, but at the same time, that's not even the highlight or the news of the day. When you have that thing in the situation where the almost assassination of the president, I think it happened on the same night, Saturday. So again, sure, people were checking out for Boots, but I mean, that's not even the talk of the town. You know what I mean? That shit happened in Pennsylvania as well. So, again, not to say that Boots didn't do his thing, but like, who cares?
Oh God, Daddy
Yeah.
Medi, come on, man.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Damn.
wow, jeez. Okay, so look, uh, so I already had my little diatribe, my little rant at the beginning of this year's show to discuss the attempt on former President Trump's life. I'm not gonna go rehash that. We won't talk about it again. Of course, that is a major event. If you guys want to talk about it, that's perfectly fine. But I would say one thing, guys. In my opinion, as a former, as a, I don't know if I'm a former, because how can I be any less, right? But as a person that's been into conspiracy theories since all of my life, since I was right before before the show, the X Files started to become a thing, I I read a book about aliens and about cover-ups, and then coincidentally enough, the X Files as a show started about 6 months afterwards, and from there I just really delved into the conspiracies and things presented to us that turned out to be false, with a predetermined outcome and an agenda behind them. And I will say this, right? It doesn't surprise me, but the biggest thing that I can tell you about those things is, look, stay mum. Don't provide your opinion. The government is listening to every single one of your words.
We're giving
They've
out our
been, they've
opinion right
been
now.
they've been listening. This has
That's
been
why
going on
you
since way
shut
past
up.
before.
That's why you
Nah,
shut up.
listen.
That's why
At
we
the
need
end of
to
the
end this
day,
live right now to
yeah,
shut
yeah,
up. I'm
yeah.
kidding.
At the end of the day, these are things outside of our control, right? It has nothing to do with us. We want the best for our country. We hope former President Trump, he becomes better as an individual. I hope that our country is not divided more as a result. I wish that people can just calm their. I apologize for my French. Calm your fucking shit down. Think rationally. Think about our country. Don't be so selfish. If you don't like what's to take place because somebody has a difference of opinion on how our country should be ran, and you feel so bad about it, guess what?
Fight me.
T- Not only, yeah, take up a fight, right? I mean, learn to win and lose.
Learn to
This
punch.
is what the sport of boxing is about. Win or lose, you pick yourself up. Stop being a sore loser. If
Well,
President Trump is on the top and he's about to win, suck it up. You had your
So
turn with the Biden. So shut up and let us talk about boxing.
well, look, I'm gonna say this though, but see, that's the difference between sport of boxing and real life. Is that the sport, you know, you fight with two hands. With
Yeah,
guns, you don't. It's with guns, it's not a fair fight, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's not about like gun control or anything, but if there's gun control, that means you got to fight with both your hands. They don't want to do that, bro. They're not trying to take wins and losses and bounce back and all these little things that we love the sport of boxing to be. Gun control means you have to fight with God given ability, with your fucking strength, with focus, with heart, with balls. Not a fucking gun and technology, bro. But that's not the foundation of this country. They don't fight with bare hands. That was the guerrilla tactics, Native Americans, bro. You know what I'm saying? This country ain't based on that, bro. So it's
yeah.
not about being macho man, bro. Relax, bro. At the end of the day, it's like um this war has been escalating for a lot of things because at the end of the day, people don't really know how to communicate. And on top of that, it's like divided interest. Everybody, you know, no, whatever, bro. It doesn't matter. But that's the point. You know what I mean? That goes back to Boots Ennis. It wasn't about trying to make this a Trump situation. At the end of the day, that was a powerful image. Like, bro, like whatever the case may be, if you don't believe in it or was fabricated, no, it was true. And the reality is, I mean, I'm glad he didn't die, bro. Like,
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah, yeah,
not, bro. You
absolutely.
know, that was at the end of the day, it's like people are trying to make change. Lives are gonna always be affected, but I'm glad this wasn't a situation like Kennedy. You know what I mean, John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. You know, I'm glad that he's alive, and
Dream,
that's what it is, man. But
did you watch that
going
fight,
back
bro?
to El Pachuco's comments, my
Yeah,
takeaway is
yeah,
that size mismatches are out of hand. Ennis looked
yeah.
big against David Avanesian. How was that a fair match? Well, that's the thing, man. It's like I don't know if he has a size advantage because they fight for the IBF, and the IBF they have not only you have to make weight, but they have a rehydration, a second weigh-in, right? Where you can't hydrate past 10 pounds. The thing is, Boots is 5'10", 5'11", and old boy and David Avanesian is 5'7", so he's gonna be short and stockier. Look at Ruben Villa. He was 125 pounds weigh in, and the other dude was Sagawa was 122.6. But the other guy looked towering, bigger, and taller and rangier. At the end of the day, it's like Pitbull is always going to be smaller than all of his opponents, give or take, right? And he's going to have to live up with that fact. And with your limitations, you always have to have different punch selections and game plans. And you have to just fight completely different. So every style, every country, every nation, they have a different fighting spirit. They have a different code, an ethics, a boiling point that you're going to have to find that pressure and how to break it and melt it down. And the reality is, it didn't really matter if it was a mismatch or not. David Avanesian on that short notice in the Philadelphia is what Matias was supposed to do to Liam Paro. You're supposed to knock this dude out, period. This is homecoming fight. We have it in your island. We have it in Philadelphia. Do your job and get the job done, period. You can make excuses that this guy might have been better. All the cards were there. This was a showcase debut for you to showcase your skills, right? And the reality is sometimes you get it wrong and it's a showcase night for the other guy. For Boots, it was all him. He got the job done. For Sagawa, it was for him, not for Ruben. And for Liam Paro, it was for him and not Matias. That's the beauty about the sport of boxing. And just like the sport, when you fight, like real men fight with two hands and two fists, right? Not with guns. When you aren't afraid to take a loss, you can always bounce back the next night. In this sport of boxing, you're only as good as your last fight, right? And everybody rode some stocks just go up. Sagawas, Liam Paros, Boots Ennis, and other fighters they go down. So that's the beauty about this sport of boxing. It's again, every single time, and just like life, if you wake up with intent and purpose and a good heart and you got a chance, you can always reinvent yourself. It's never over until God's time goes boom and the clicker's done. It's never over,
Yeah.
man. And that's the beauty about this. Everybody has a different road of how to get there. Some guys like Lomachenko get to cut in line and bypass everybody coming off a loss with Salido, and you get right there, not even through contender phase, get another shot at Gary Russell, an undefeated fighter. And then there's guys like Ruben Villa and Sobriel Matias that, hey, it's going to take you another 4 years to become a champion and whatever the case may be. So everybody's road is completely different. It's not a sport where it's very forgiving, and just because you cry, people are gonna feel sympathy. You know, you got to strap yourself up by the bootstraps again, and dog it out, man. It's a dog eat dog world, especially in the sport of boxing, and that's what it is, man. So I don't know, man. Fuck, dude. It's just
Yeah, I almost feel like okay, so to answer your question, like 20 minutes ago, Jim, I did watch the fight. Boots,
Ken Ryan.
what happened?
No, Adi Medi goes, can Ryan Garcia finish Avanesian in 4 to beat Boots' record?
Nah, hey, it's so yeah, Boots fought a different style of fight. And you can tell because he was there to get hit, and it's like he just I seen not a new but a different Boots, and he was getting hit, bro, but he
Yeah.
didn't care. He didn't care about getting hit. And you
There
can
you
tell
go.
like he switched it up for this fight because of his fans. Like he let the fans kind of get to him a little bit because he's never actually fought like in front of all those people, or really how like all those people he pretty much knew. Like it was like even in the press conference, like there was hell of people from Philadelphia there just like like just reacting to the reporters' questions, and they were like pretty much like the security to fucking Boots and shit. But yeah, dude, Boots fought a different fight. That's why I'm not making it a big deal as some of the people in the boxing world are
Yeah,
making
yeah.
it. And they're actually making it more than it is because I
Hmm.
want to believe Boots. And because in my mind I was like this is a different Boots. Like I think the fans are getting to him, but in a good way,
Hmm.
and he said it after the fight. He said, and I heard the fans and it kind of just riled me up a little bit, and I was like, boom, I knew it because he fought a style that wasn't his, right? And he just showed you he can fight a different style and still get the job done, and still
Well,
make.
Also,
But
two things though.
it's a good and a bad thing, right? Because what you're saying is that he compromised by exposing himself out there to harm to entertain. And isn't that one of the things that we've been doing in the homie Ricky and the Warp Speed broadcast? Isn't it always the fact that we as boxing fans always admire the fighter that's out there willing to do a little extra to consider us in our entertainment? Isn't that the reason why Shakur Stevens is taking so much crap right now? Because he's not willing to do what Boots Ennis seemingly did over the weekend, which is please the fans, which is take a little to give more. Isn't that exactly what it sounds like Boots Ennis did? He gauged the opponent and his power. He said, you know what? Okay, he hits hard, but I can get closer.
yeah, but that
I
wasn't a
can get
boot.
closer and hit harder.
That wasn't this that wasn't him though. Like that wasn't the real him. That was a Philadelphia version of Boots. I feel like when Boots is playing it safe, he's a lot safe. He's a lot cleaner with his defense. He don't get hit as much. So best believe when he's up against another dude like a Crawford, hopefully, he's gonna take it more serious. He's not gonna be in range. He's not gonna, and they said he looked a lot bigger than Avanesian, but I think Boots is just like one of the bigger fucking welterweights
Yeah, no,
in
he
the
is.
division, bro.
Yeah,
5'10". He's
yep,
capable. I said this in the past. He's capable of moving up to
160.
160. Yeah,
Yep. No,
and
absolutely, and that's the other thing that I was gonna say, Dream.
Wait, wait, but also
The negative to that is the fact that when you're doing a little extra, switching up your style to expose yourself for that risk, guess what? You can actually get hurt a little bit, and in fact,
but he
like you're
wasn't hurt at
alluding
all.
to.
He
No, of
was not
course,
hurt at
yeah,
all.
but because he's still that good, right? It's the same thing that we've always said about Shakur Stevens. Shakur Stevens can actually risk a little more because he's so good that he knows that he's going to be able to take a punch. He's not willing to do it, right? It's the give or take. He's willing to take one, to give one. He's willing to please the fans, let the emotions behind the fanatics and the loud cheers get to him so that it tempers his fighting style, which is not a good thing. But the fact that he's out there now, he just added another little layer to his game, which is I can stand there a little bit in the pocket, take one to give one, and that can come out victorious. So in my opinion, that's great because a lot of the videos that I've seen about other fighters continue to say, well, Boots Ennis would surely lose to Terrence Bud Crawford because when they take on the same fighter, Terrence Crawford did not get hit as much as Boots, and Terrence Crawford knocked him out. And
wait, hold on.
people make it seem like Boots Ennis getting hit is a bad thing. Like if Terrence Crawford has never been hit. Here's the thing: when you looked at fights such as Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler, when did you ever see those guys never get hit? They got hit all the time. That's
But
why they're
also you
the
gotta
legends.
like a couple things though. One is Boots is coming off a 1 year layoff.
Yeah.
Right? So his timing is going to be a little off. You guys addressed the homecoming situation. I think Drew wanted to say that, oh, this is Philadelphia Boots. Nah, man. Boots always gets hit. He got hit against Sergey Lipinets quite often.
Oh, he got
but
hit
when he
way
doesn't
more.
care about with the return fire,
Rick.
when he doesn't care about that you can't knock me out, I mean, he's going to be like, fuck yeah, dude.
No.
Open up so I can counter you and punch
Watch
with
the
you
fight.
and watch me knock you out.
You
know
need to
what I
watch
mean?
the fight. You need to watch the fight because
go watch Sergey Lipinets. Sergey Lipinets hit him with some shit too. But
this
Boots
was at
rolls
another
with the
level.
punch.
This was at another level. Avanesian was hitting him the most out of anyone.
But hold on. Also, like again, I just saw a little bit of the highlights, which was like 11 minutes. So obviously, it's not the whole duration of the fight. But I mean, if it's 11 minutes on a 5-round fight, that's 15 minutes. I'm not missing much action in 4 minutes, possibly, or maybe they just edited out the filler. But also,
Well, I watched the whole fight, so.
Boots got hit with Sergey Lipinets. The fights where he didn't get hit was Ruben Villa as much, and then Cassius Clayton, or the dude Clayton. I'm not too sure what his name was. I think his name was Cassius. But the thing is like Boots
Nah,
He
Avanesian got off on some combinations, bro, on him, like clean.
he
Like,
also got some combinations off Bud Crawford when they fought on Black Prime as well.
yeah, but
That's
we're
what
not
people
talking about
don't fail
that.
to address. Like, bro, David Avanesian is a
We're talking
good
about
little
Boots.
fighter.
We're talking about Boots getting hit, not Crawford.
I know, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. The same common opponent, David Avanesian, was hitting both Bud and Boots, bro. Like, this is a good little fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to wrinkle in the homecoming element. Hasn't fought in a year. He's fighting probably one of the best fighters on his resume with the experience. Like, David Avanesian has shared the ring with Bud Crawford, Shane Mosley. You know what I mean? Like, this guy has experience and upsetted Olympians that are slick and look to be the next Ben Whitaker and what's his name? Joshua Kelly. Like, David Avanesian has always been a good fighter. That's what people don't take into consideration. Is like he was putting hands on Bud Crawford and hitting him well, and then next thing you know, Bud has a fucking glove situation, and then boom, he knocks him out eventually the next fucking round. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where, like, I think people don't know who David Avanesian is, and it's just like, oh my god, like Boots is not gonna, like, no, dude, Boots will look better with more activity. Like, for example, when I think in 2 weeks, what are we now, or 2 3 weeks, Bud Crawford is going to be fighting Madrimov. Bud Crawford hasn't fought in a year, right? Since Errol Spence. On top of fighting on a year, um, he's moving up in weight. He's fighting an active, undefeated fighter. This could be a recipe where Bud is going to be getting hit a lot and people are going to be like, oh shit, Butch can fuck him up. It's like, no, dude. You have to take into consideration the context of these moments. And like, that's why I just feel like people are always just like victims of that moment, of that element. And
Yeah.
it's just like, all right, dude, just relax, bro. Like, you
It's
guys
they
got to
call
really
it
like double down and everything. You know what I mean?
they call it regency bias. But I do have a
Correct.
question, guys, because I have a very very bad memory, right? So can El Pachuco brought up the topic, right, about how it seemed that Boots Ennis looked so much bigger to David Avanesian's height, right? He looked so much bigger. In fact, there was another guy that looked so much bigger in this weekend's fight also. In fact, I didn't even know how they made the same weight. We had Raymond Murataya, bro, guys. His gut looked bigger than Jojo Diaz's, right?
Kevin Farmer.
This guy, yeah, Terrence Farmer. He fought Terrence Farmer. Terrence Farmer looked like a little kid over there in comparison to Raymond Murataya, right? Now, because of size, because of the fact that El Pachuco, who mentions that he appreciates us, he thinks that we are good dudes, and that he likes to support good people. I appreciate those comments at Pachuco. We appreciate that. We also keep you and all of our listeners, Mr. Eddie. Well, I don't really know. Is Eddie Medi a guy? I don't know if Eddie Medi's a guy. I think he's just the funniest person in the world for sure. Eddie Medi, El Pachuco, Mexican G, Abner, Ortega. All of these guys, you guys have a special place in our hearts. But he states that they looked big. Right now, let me ask you guys something. When we look at the career of somebody like Terrence Bud Crawford, the only guy that I remember was noticeably bigger and taller was Jose Benavides. And we know with Jose Benavides, he went almost all 12 rounds, balls to the wall, and he got tagged a lot by that guy. And remember, Jose Benavides Jr. was a one-legged fighter, having just fought, having taken on that fight with about 3 months after having been shot in the rough streets of Phoenix, Arizona. Now, Boots Ennis is taller than Terrence Bud Crawford. Boots Ennis apparently fills up real nice at 147. He looks like a weight bully in the estimation of our dear and beloved El Pachuco. Let me ask you something. Move him up to 154, where he is apparently chasing Terrence Bud Crawford. He's apparently chasing all those fighters at 154 because it seems he's going to have a hard time making unification fights. I don't understand why he only focuses on unifications. I mean, there's fighters like Joe Kawasaki and all these other fighters that wish they would have just stayed fighting and defending one belt without necessarily going and worrying too much about unifications. Bernard Hopkins famously took on 7 years before he unified all 4 belts in fighting. I think it was Jermaine Taylor and losing to that guy. He took 7 years before he became undisputed. He was in no type of a hurry, right? Now, all of a sudden, we just think that getting all 4 belts is all that matters. Like, there's no other kind of smoke with just defending 1 belt. I ask you guys, if Boots Ennis goes up to 154, he's obviously going to be taller than Terence Bud Crawford. He's obviously going to fill up real nicely into those extended bones of his. What do you guys think he'll do at 154 against Terence Crawford? And in fact, I should actually ask against Ismail Madrimov, because maybe Ismail even wins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, look, when Bud Crawford fought Errol Spence, besides the train wreck and all of these things, right? The car wreck and all that stuff, Errol hadn't fought in over a year. Terence walked away from the preliminary negotiations because they wanted transparency, and he fought David Avanesian on Black Prime. David Avanesian put hands on Bud more than Errol Spence did when Bud fought him, right? On Black Prime. He had a tune-up in between. Errol coming off a 1-year layoff, inactivity, all of these things. He's worrying about, oh, man, I want to get this fight. We got to do everything and play into the demands of Bud Crawford. Relinquished every single, like, bro, you're a 3-time division champion. I mean, that's Bud Crawford. You're holding 3 of the belts. You have all the say. That dude walked away. You don't have to cater to his demands unless you want this fight more for your legacy than Bud. And Bud had told us, I don't need Errol. I've already created history. He needs this fight. Bud understood leverage, and he showed it when he walked away and fought David Avanesian for $8 million in Black Prime. You see? In this situation, Bud is coming back off of 1 year of inactivity, off the demolition derby that he imposed on Errol Spence, and fighting an undefeated Prime champion and Madrimov, who's coming off a lot of momentum. This is Bud Crawford's most dangerous fight in his career ever. Like, this dude is like, bro, Madrimov is huge, bro. I don't know if these pictures were real, but the motherfucker looks like a mini Canelo Alvarez, bro. A mini Triple G.
Did you see
this
the
dude, like, his calves are on calves, bro. He looks like Pacquiao, bro.
Yeah, I posted it on the story. He's fucking.
Oh yeah, I couldn't believe that. I was like, yo, what the frick? This dude looks like Christian and Billy, bro.
For real, fucking jacked, bro. Yeah,
bro,
like
he looks like
a Canelo.
Now he's gonna have a little bit of problems because, like, Bud Crawford, for being 5'7", he's got fucking heavyweight arm length. But bro, this is gonna be a good ass fight, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, because those Europeans are consistent, man. Inside the ring, like, they don't let anything kind of get to them mentally. Like, they're mentally sharp, and they'll keep that same energy from round 1 to round 12. So I just, and he doesn't. Yeah, I just, like I said, like, these Europeans bring a different type of consistency, and they're more disciplined than a typical American fighter. So it's all everything. And really, Terence Crawford is like the most disciplined fighter in the game. Like, you know, dude has no life besides him and his family, and he's got everything handled, like, and behind the scenes, and it's like everything is right for him to be a all-time great. You know, a lot of fighters get caught up in drama out here. As a lot of American
he's
fighters,
also 37,
yeah,
American fighters,
37 and 38, fighting a 26, 27-year-old, bro.
And a lot of American fighters bring a lot of fucking baggage, bro. Like, we're just so messed up in their back, in their home, you know, and in their homes and shit. So the European fighters, they don't let none of that fucking get in the way. So yeah, man, I like it, man. It's a good, more closer and closer it gets, bro. I'm like, damn, like, what's up with the odds? You know, but yeah, man, can't wait, man. 3 weeks.
Also,
yeah,
I could
3
be
weeks.
incorrect. I could be wrong, but I'm watching the highlights of David Avanesian versus Bud Crawford, and anytime that David lands clean, there's a little bit of shake in Bud Crawford, bro. Like it
Mm.
looks like, I'm not saying where he hurts, but he has like a little like, oh shit, like damn,
Yeah,
this dude actually hit me. Like, is this a real fight?
I've seen that
But
before though. I've seen
yeah,
that before.
I don't know, bro. It's gonna be very interesting to see these fights.
But you think,
Again,
but if
if you look at the elements, youth and age, Madrimov coming off activity, Madrimov, his weight class, Madrimov. This isn't a situation where Madrimov is coming off a year or two off inactivity, injury, none of that. No, bro. He has all the advantages. If there's ever an opportunity where someone can get upset, it would be Bud in this particular fight because of the context. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Moving up
and
in weight. You're
bro,
37 years old. Like,
you
oh,
brought
dude,
up
you can just keep going down the tread, bro.
you
The
brought up
the other
last.
thing we have to acknowledge though is that here's the truth: who has Madrimov fought and beaten?
Oh,
Yeah, but
that's cool.
you brought up this last week, Rick, or I mean last week, earlier right now. Like when Terrence Crawford got shook, like I've seen that plenty of times. And if you think about it, like that's how great Crawford is, bro. Like he's fought in all the guys that were capable of making them do that, like making them shake a little bit, like, and he's managed to be down on cards and come back, so you
Like
know,
who
Well, like
though?
who?
Like who?
Like who?
Like
uh
Victor Postol or Jeff Horn or a washed out one that foot out the door Sean
I didn't want to
Porter.
go down this road, bro,
I
but
didn't either because I then we're gonna go down that road. I hate that road because I love Terrence Bud Crawford as a
I'm not
professional.
talking about who though. I'm talking about how he's winning these fights. He's
Well, you could do that if you're fighting those guys though.
who else is doing
Like
it
no,
though?
but you
Who
said,
else was
Drew.
down
You
on
said,
besides him and
no,
Tank?
well, hold on,
Besides
Drew.
besides him and Tank, like who else came back in fights and knocked out? Like that's only a pound for pound quality that in fighters that they have, bro. Like you
But
gotta
hold on, Drew. You said right now. You said that's what makes Bud Crawford so great is that he fights these dudes that can, wobble him. And then we said who? Like, don't backtrack now and be like, oh, Bud has
and
never
no, and the
oh,
been.
other
oh
thing you
let me all
said
right, let
though,
me go back
and
then.
the wait up, Dream,
Let
wait
me
up,
elaborate then.
wait up.
I
Also,
can't elaborate because you guys
no,
are
no, you
interrupting me.
will, no, you will. I want you to throw this in there too while you elaborate. You just admitted that Terrence Bud Crawford has been down on the cards. All right. I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing. Okay, what happens if you can't get the knockout? Right? No, no. Elaborate.
He was down against against fucking Sean Porter.
Hmm.
With or without him being out the game, he weighed in and he fought him.
Hmm.
And he was beating him with 1 foot out the door. So I don't know, like he was he's a relentless guy, bro. Like he's a come forward fighter, bro. Like that, it's the style, and he's managed to be down on cards and kind of have the urgency to come back. You know, can That's what I'm saying. Like he's gotten knocked down. Like not official, but by Cav Velasquez, and still managed to come back and knock him out. I'm just saying, like it's just the way he's winning these fights. It's like a Tank quality. It's I don't know. It's a special fighter quality that they have. That have the urgency to come back and win fights the way they do, bro. Like
Yeah.
that's a great that's an elite quality right there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so like Ruben doesn't have that like that quality to come back, even though he was starting to come back. But it's like you got to execute. You got to have the power to really hurt this dude. But
True.
but yeah, that's what they got, bro. Like yeah, and he's been down on other cards, other fights too. But I just can't think of them.
It's just that when you think about it like that, right? That there's a fighter that can be down on the count, and he would have to need a knockout to catch up or to win a fight. Yeah, that's amazing because we give props to that fighter's fighting abilities and his power, right? But then you have to also compare him to fighters like let's say Jesse Bam Rodriguez, who
For
do
what?
not
That's
lose
a
any.
different weight
Who
class.
wait up. We're just comparing situations. A guy who never Rarely ever loses a round. He's never down on the cards, and he still knocks them out. And he does that with three-time former
Let
defending
me
champions, unifications, and things of
hold
the
on.
sort, jumping into weight divisions,
But
right?
Bam got knocked down against the dude off a 2-year layoff. For how many year layoff?
I don't know who was that.
Estrada. He knocked him down. He got
Oh
off a
yeah,
layoff.
yeah. Well, I think. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, so is Kavaliauskas. I guess Kavaliauskas got the same, and Crawford, right? But what I'm saying is, you have to compare one guy who's, like you mentioned, down on the rounds, down on the points, and the other guy rarely ever is, right? I mean, in fact, that's just a bad comparison. Let's compare him with Alexander Usyk.
That's better.
When is Alexander Usyk ever down on the rounds, and he still almost knocks out everybody? That guy is the best fighter in the world. Look at Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, yeah, he loses some rounds, but at the end of the night, he's won way more. And if he can, he'll knock him out. He's another pound for pound fighter. I don't even know where I'm going with this, man. I don't want to start disrespecting Terence Bud Crawford, right? Because he really is an exemplary individual, an incredible fighter. We're not going to go down that route. We're not going to make it about that. But yeah, he is an amazing fighter that I obviously, irrespective of the fact that Madrimov looks like he has many Pacquiao calves, he has also not fought anybody. He's just a bigger fighter that has incredible footwork, but he's never been tested as great. And in fact, the one thing that we talked about in this year broadcast the most was about how preparing yourself to get to the higher ranks is what makes you better and good enough to become a champion. And Ismail Madrimov has not had the names, in my estimation at least, that would prepare him for somebody like Terence Bud Crawford. Whether or not Terence Bud Crawford is an older fighter, is a smaller, lighter fighter. Why? Because in Terence Bud Crawford, we have something very special going on, which is this. Terence Bud Crawford is the only fighter that I know of that when he kept climbing up in weight, he was knocking out everybody, not losing his power. He was attaining his power, and his skill sets transferred to the higher ranks. That's why he became dominant.
Well,
Everybody
yeah.
else seems to take a step back, and I don't know how many other fighters besides him and Canelo Alvarez can say that.
And I feel like it also takes like some like sparring, like to understand what type of pain a fighter goes through, because they say Terence Crawford is a little different when you fight him. Sean Porter, he said with Errol Spence, and correct me if I'm wrong because I watched this a couple months ago, but he said when I fought Errol Spence, the punches hurt more, but I seen them coming and I wasn't as confused. Like I knew what to do, he said. But with T-Bud, he said he was hurt and he was confused and he didn't know exactly what to do inside the ring with him. You know?
Mhm.
So it's a mental thing that T-Bud does,
Yeah.
like he doesn't let you move a certain way. Certain fighters, they let you, and knowing that they can like, or thinking that they can knock you out and they don't have to like set shit up and all this, like
Mm.
they let their opponent kind of move how they want. Like Terence Crawford kind of, he does he does these little feints, and they're little quick feints that kind of makes you think he's gonna throw but he's not, and then it's like makes you kind of confused. And I feel like
Mhm.
T-Bud does that really well. He kind of knows body language really well. He reads it and he does it. He moves his body to make you feel some type of way, but he ain't doing shit. And then he's gonna do something like so. With with T Bud, it's a mental breakdown and it's a different style. I don't want to say he's got this like knockout power, but he will he will add the pressure on you, and he will it's his punch placement too. His punch placement is great. He hits you right in the temple, right where it counts, and he just got great accuracy, man. And
Well,
that's another thing.
I guess maybe you can say that Terence Bud Crawford exemplifies the effects of the punch that you don't see coming. Right,
Mhm.
that's really what it is. He throws some punches that you don't see coming. They may them be the most powerful ones you've ever been hit with, but the fact that they caught you by surprise affect you because you didn't prepare for it. Therefore, the punch leaves an effect, right? This is gonna be such an interesting fight, right? Because like most things turns Bud Crawford, and I hate saying this, right? We hinted at it, but we're not gonna go there. Most things have to be looked at contextually and situationally when it comes to Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford went balls to the wall against a one-legged fighter in Jose Benavidez Jr. Terence Bud Crawford is the only guy that ended up knocking out or stopping, better yet, TKOing Sean Porter, right? Well, it was his father. There you go. The context and the situation. The father is the one who threw in the towel, right? Terence Bud Crawford, he beat Jeff Horn, who beat Manny Pacquiao. Triangulation theory. Terence Bud Crawford is the only guy that destroyed Errol the Truth Spence Jr.
Was Rick the one that thought
But
was
Errol is the guy who was drunk and missing a retina, missing teeth and grafted skin. It's always going to be something situational, something contextual. And in the case of Madrimov, the only context and the only situation that you can add to that is, let's be real, who has Ismail Madrimov beat? So that's going to be, unfortunately, the reality
and
of the
this
career of Terence Bud Crawford. Likely the greatest fighter that ever lived, that has so many asterisks before
and right,
on his wins.
and honestly, like I'm not sure if it was Rick or maybe the boxing world is saying it so much. Why do people say that this guy can be Jermel Charlo? Like
Who,
was
Crawford?
not just people, right? Just people are saying that he can beat him, and that's where I'm like, nah, he's too big for him. You know, like that's way too big. Because I think of his brother, and they're both 6 footers. To me, they are. I know one is like 5'11", but still, it's like one of those crazy things you think about. If Bud can beat Madrimov, can he beat a fucking Jamel, the better brother? That's where I'm like, God, man, I don't know. I kind of it's just saying that anyone can beat Crawford is it's a hard thing to say, especially with your chest.
Yeah,
I think it's almost impossible to do that. Um, so I don't know. I just feel like anybody who hasn't shown a chink in their armor, because at this point, I mean, at a certain point, I mean, when you're a world champion, you've shown some kind of chink.
yeah.
Something bad has low key has happened already in the ring or outside the ring. And Terrence hasn't really shown much of that. You have
Yeah,
Inoue, he's shown a chink. Like that was his last fight. That was a big chink in his armor. You know, um, and then Usyk at this point is like giving me good luck vibes. He just knows how to win. You know, um, so yeah, I just feel like
good
it's
luck vibes. That's crazy. He
dude,
almost stopped Luke Tyson Fury, and you
not in a
think
bad
that might
way.
have
Nah,
been? No, I
he's
know, I know, I know, I know, I know,
he's
I
an
know what you mean, though.
not good luck. My bad. I should have worded better. I meant he just knows how to. It just feels like it. Like he just knows how to win.
Like, let me say it. Like, God is on his side.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Yeah.
I
So
know,
it's
bro.
like
I know, I know. Um,
it just feels like I'm starting to feel that way about these fighters.
well,
They're
I'm
like,
starting to think the God is on Terence Crawford's side. I mean,
yeah,
there's
dude.
always an
And I
asterisk
think
to
of that.
the fighters he takes on, and he always, he always picks them right.
And
Like,
I
look
just
at it,
feel,
Pachuco. He stated it's the first time that Madrimov will be fighting without headgear, getting them straight out of the amateurs. Look, it's always something that shines in favor of Terence Bud Crawford, right? I mean, God is on his side, buddy.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know. It's just, and then I think of people like Mason, Abdullah Mason. And
Abdullah
I'm like,
Mason.
that dude does everything right. Like, is he gonna show a chink in his armor?
Nah, he
And
gets
that,
hit.
huh?
He
I
gets
haven't.
hit.
He gets hit, huh? Yeah, I
Yeah,
need
but
to
he
see.
does no. He does it on purpose. He's doing the same thing that Jaron Boots Ennis apparently did, which is he's willing to take one to please the fans, and because he knows that his punches are better than yours, because he believes in himself and he doesn't think you're that good.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like it's just a matter of will.
Yeah.
These guys just fucking. I feel like it's 90% that, bro. Like if you have will, you're gonna mold your body to the way it's gonna be, you know,
Hmm.
and it's gonna.
Hmm.
And most people who are opposite don't have a lot of confidence in themselves, don't have a lot of will. It's gonna show out in the ring. They're gonna,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's why it's like, just it's just a matter of will. And I feel like dudes like Boots would give Crawford an even greater fight, because he's one of the more disciplined American fighters here. Boots Ennis, militant, and
Yeah.
that's another fight that I want. But yeah, man, it's just boxing is not just about how hard you hit. I look at the way you live your life. I don't like to pay attention too much into their lifestyle, but it's like you got here for a reason, and
Yeah.
uh and it's like yeah, I just that's what it's all about.
You know what's crazy? And I'm just gonna say this because my son is playing Fortnite right next to me. He's my son, the boxer, right?
The
Um,
boxer.
yeah, I always send him videos, right? I say, look at this guy, look at this fight right here. This guy's breaking it down. Look what he's doing. I want you to employ that in your sparring sessions. I don't know if he ever does. I don't think he ever does, right? But look, Brian Norman Jr. If I'm not mistaken, his father's his trainer. We have Boots Ennis. His father is his trainer,
Oh no, they're not gonna
right?
let that happen.
What?
The fight you're talking about, him and Boots?
No, 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 no. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
okay.
Look, Teofimo Lopez, his junior, his father's his trainer. Mayweather, his father was his trainer. Some of the greatest undisputed fighters, some of the best fighters in the sport right now, their father is a trainer, right? It's incredible that just a few years ago people were calling, even Tim Bradley I believe was calling for the prohibition of fighters to have their father or their parents as their trainers on account that their fathers will never, they're either never take him out at the right time of a fight because they don't want to have their son lose, or they'll take him out too early because they'll be afraid for their son's health. And now you're seeing the rewards of having family unity, how far having a strong family unit will take you in life. You know, I am very happy that Bosi Ennis has educated his son to be so well. And the reason I brought it up is because you said militantly. His father was a militant. He represented the United States of America, and I think I want to say he represented it maybe in Desert Storm, or one of those wars. But uh, but yeah, it's incredible how a father that loves their son and believes in their son, and a son that respects his father and he'll be obedient, how far they could come together. This should be a telltale story for everybody listening right now. Develop a sense of family pride, of honor, of respect for your elders. Start with those immediately living with you and extend that to your neighbors, and then extend that to the community at large, and then extend that to your city, and keep going so that we can have a very strong country. In light of what just transpired over the weekend, ladies and gentlemen, see these fighters, learn from them. It starts with a strong family unit. Tell your mother and your father, if they're still with you love them. Tell your wife, your husband, if you guys are married, your beloved, your estranged brother, whatever, tell them you love them. Tell your children every day after you hug them, kiss them in the forehead, tell them you love them, right? This is how we become strong as a family. This is how we learn to be strong caring individuals in our community, and then push that out as far as you can take it. Right now, our country, our people, our blacks, our browns, our whites, our reds, our yellows, we need that kind of love. Dream, when do you want to go live next?
It's up to you.
Well, check it out. I just paid $25. You know, Eddie Medi,
What?
okay. Well, check it out. So StreamYard is not free.
Oh yeah.
It's not, right? So I guess StreamYard offers some kind of a free one, but it only gives you, I don't know, I think it's like 20 hours. So when the homie Ricky was having this, he was hosting his lives. You know, there was one live that he just hopped on for like an hour, and then me and you went on for like 3 hours. And it was, I think, on the 4th of July, or no, not 4th of July. I think it was some kind of a holiday. And then I stayed up past midnight, and then I wished everybody like a happy Memorial Day or whatever it was that it was, right? Happy Easter or whatever. And that took out all of his hours. Like, he was done. He was like, man, I don't have no hours, so I have to wait until next month. So the reason why we haven't gone live, just to answer the question that Eddie Medi, he said, are you guys still a channel? Are you guys still gonna do something? I'm like, bro, I've been posting the Screaming Man videos, right? And not to be confused with me. I'm Warp Speed, and then there's the Screaming Man. Those are two different individuals. Don't ask me who it is. He doesn't care to ever come on the lives. That's him. He does his short reaction videos. He just posts them on my channel, right? But anyways, he asked me, are you and the homie Ricky still doing your thing? It's been a while. Eddie Medi, he asked me. Now remember, Eddie Medi, it was in a 2-week vacation. He went like, he went to live in a pond. He went to Thailand. I think to Fuckit Island. He ended up going to Japan. He went to China to visit the Great Wall of China. I think he stopped in El Paso. I think he was gonna try to get a couple of jarritos with El Pachuco. I don't know if they ever hooked up, but anyways, he was traveling the world for about 2 weeks. He even told us, he's good. Hey guys, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I'm going on vacation. And I was like, okay, well. And then homie Ricky, he ran out of hours, and me, I went through a little bit of a hard time where I didn't have any kind of money, right? So I was like, okay, I'll just do these shorts. I'll gain my subscriber count up, and then I'll start going live. But then Eddie Medi said, are you guys still talking boxing? And I said, buddy, we talk about it every day. And then he said, prove it. And I said, oh, God. Here we go. I'm going to pay $25. Now, guess what, Dream? This means that we can go live for as much as we want for a span of a month until I run out of money again. So if you ever have anything to talk about that you want to address in the sport of boxing, let me know, because I already paid for it. Now, I do want to have fun for the next live. It is not going to be boxing related. I want to talk about other things. I want to talk about people eating each other. I want to talk about cannibalism. I want to talk about the assassinations of our fighters. I want to talk about George Clooney and how he is more powerful than Interpol. You may not know that. I want to talk about how it is that a Marxist, revolutionary, socialist, Jewish, female lesbian can become the president of the nation state of Mexico. I want to talk about how an Iranian rapper can be sentenced to death solely because he says words of protest in a rap song. I want to talk about how a man can blow off the top of his head celebrating 4th of July. I want to talk about those kind of things. I want to have fun learning stuff that I've ran into.
Rick.
What about Rick? I'm scared.
I accidentally called you Rick. I meant Germ. I mean Germ.
Oh, yeah.
Speed. Because I haven't called you Speed in a
Steve.
minute.
So I thought you called me Speed. No, Steve. I'm like, Steve. I'm no Steve.
No, I was gonna say Speed. Are we gonna die? No, I'm just gonna.
Well, absolutely, we're gonna die. Are we gonna die because of what transpired over the weekend? No. Could it have led to civil war? Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. This is why one of the best things that happened is that former President Donald Trump survived the attempt on his life. It also, talking about Terrence Bud Crawford, it seems that God is on his side. God or the devil, depends on who you think he's working for, but somehow he survived, and it means that we are not going to enter into a civil war. I think that's the best thing that could happen to us. I'm not too sure what's going to happen, but I will say this, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, politics delves in the control of man and women. I understand that when we talk about politics, we're talking about granting people the right to take away our independence and our sovereignty, to pass laws that hinder and limits our mobility and our freedom of expression, our
Wait,
growth at times. That is what governance means. It means we bound others to providing for us
wait,
security and guidance. Wait,
wait.
what? This guy.
Uh,
Go.
are we on the verge of a nuclear war?
Who's gonna nuke us?
Russia, Korea, North Korea,
Nah,
South Korea.
nah, no, 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 no.
No,
Look, no, there's not gonna be no nuclear war. Why? Because nobody wants to die like that, right? In nuclear war, all is lost. Everybody is lost. Everybody. If Russia nukes the U.S., they die, we die, and that goes contrary to politics. That goes contrary to 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 imperialism. In imperialism, you have to have winners and you have to have losers. If you kill everybody off, who are you governing? Who did you take over? Right? If if Russia nukes us and we nuke Russia, or so forth and so on, and we all die, who won? Nobody. So why would they do it? Governance, politics, war is about winning. The fact that there is nuclear weaponry dispersed all over the world is just a deterrent so that those countries cannot be so easily attacked. Because if you attack me, I would drop my nukes. That's it. But nobody wants to drop them because that means mutually assured destruction. Everybody dies. And that's the opposite of warfare. In warfare, there has to be a winner. This is the reason why there's things such as, the overtime boxing dream, that project that takes up to 13 rounds. They fight for 12 rounds. If the fight is deemed a draw, they go to a third round. That is how wars are fought. Rarely ever is there a draw. Rarely ever is there a truce. There has to be a winner. And if you kill everybody off and nobody survives, there is no winner, so there will not be a nuclear war. I will say this, though. They can drop nukes and kill out a majority of the poor people, you and I, the little guys, but never the rich, never the elites, never the politicians. Those guys are always guarded. Whenever there are wars, ladies and gentlemen, you and I, the commoners, the plebeian, the hardworking, blue collar types, the ones with children, the ones who work day and night to provide to our families, the guys do not have butlers or maids, those are the ones that become cannon fodder. You and I die so that the rich can continue to govern us and tell us who to go kill and get killed by. Nancy Pelosi and her children, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, Greg Abbott from Texas, none of those guys are going to send their children to fight for the country. They'll send you and I. And yet, we call them our leaders. There won't be those type of attacks, Dream. But here's the thing. Just in case, just in case, right? Tell your mother, tell your father with a big hug, tell them you love them. Tell your sister, tell your neighbor, you love them, right? This is how we will ascend and transcend to a better place once somebody does decide to nuke us. Once somebody does decide to drone war us and drop the detonation over our heads, guess what? It won't matter to you because you're walking out and transcending into a better spiritual life with a whole heart full of love and no fear. When I take my children out to play boxing, I mean, when I take my child to play boxing, when I take my other child and my daughter to practice baseball, you know why I do it? Because it could be our last minute together. I want to have fun. I want to be surrounded by love. I'm not going to let these things that are outside of my control make me sad or scare me, Dream. And nor should they affect you like that.
Yep.
Now, why do you think Russia hates us so much, Dream? Do you really think that? Do you think Putin really hates Russia?
You want to know
I
why?
mean, yeah, tell me.
Because I seen a post saying that Joe Rogan thinks nuclear war is imminent. So I was like, do you think that is? That's really all I pay attention to. I don't pay attention to all that, bro. Like, it's all out of my control.
Hmm.
All I know is I did my best.
Yeah, that's all you can do, Dream. Look, listen. I know there's types like that do believe that, but and there are people that do want to nuke the world. There are the religious types. I believe they're the Zionists, right? The Zionists are people that want to have the chosen people, the Jewish of the Jewish faith, take back their lands because like the Protestants and the new the like these new religions, the newer religions like the Protestants, the Latter-day Saints, and all of those guys, they have these beliefs that Zion, which is the movement of the 144,000 Jews that they go back into the nation of Israel before the end of times, that has to happen to fulfill the book. Remember, Bob Marley said that we must fulfill the book. Fulfill the book means that everything talked about in the Bible has to happen in order for God to come back into the world. So there are these people, they're basically nihilists and destroyers of the world that believe that the only way through salvation would be for God and Jesus to reappear once again. And the only way that Jesus and God are going to come back is if they accelerate the end of the world. How do they accelerate the end of the world? By making sure that everything that's been foretold in the Bible becomes a reality. So that means the Jewish people have to have Israel back. They already founded the nation of Israel. They have to have a white calf be born. A white calf was born, right? But here's the thing: you can clone a white calf. You can make political machinations so that people can have a country. It happened before with the Balfour Declaration. That's how Israel was founded. Anything can happen if the people that are in power make it happen. You see, they're accelerationists. They want to accelerate the coming of Jesus Christ and God. But in doing so, Dream, they're killing a lot of people. They're creating a lot of strife. They're destroying the world around them. So how good can these people be? How good can these religious types, these extremist religious types that want the Bible to be fulfilled and hell to come raining down upon us? How good can they be if that's what they want? Instead of wanting to make heaven on earth, they think heaven is hell, and that earth can only become worse. I don't know about that, Dream. I think quite the opposite. I think heaven can be made a reality on earth. That's what I think. And everybody wants the book to be fulfilled. That means everybody has to go through a lot of pain and suffering. There has to be so much death, so many horrors, so many wars and rumors of wars for that to take place. Is that the world you want? Dream? Do you want the Bible to become a reality? Do you want the sky to split open so that a big dragon could come? Do you want to see the four horsemen of the end of times, the four horsemen of the apocalypse? You want to see famine and death? Do you want to see that?
No.
No
Uh,
way. No way.
uh,
I want to see baseball on a Sunday morning. I
Football.
want to watch boxing on a Saturday eve. Womp womp. Yeah,
I
Joe
want to watch
Rogan, he's
what I
got
want
an
to watch.
agenda. Yeah, yeah. You want to watch what?
I want to watch what I want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to watch Netflix and chill, right? That's what I want to do. Netflix and
Mhm.
chill. I don't want to think about what Putin wants. I don't want to think about what uh, President Biden wants. I don't want that. But I do want this. I want Dream, the homie
Hmm?
Ricky. I want Vince Vargas, El Pachuco, Eddie Medi. I want the Mexican G. I want everybody here to live their best life, to not let these things scare us, right? They are scary, guys. To think that a presidential candidate could have had his brains blown out in front of the world to see, like they did our President Kennedy, to shock the world, to show how vulnerable even the most powerful, influential people can be, to make us seem weak and insignificant. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, those are horrible things, but they're outside of your control. The only thing that you can do is control your life, your circumstances. That's why be a good person to your neighbor, be a loving son, a caring brother. Start there. And everything else, as the world topples over and you have these buildings collapsing, shaking, crumbling down, the earth splitting, lava flowing, overcast, tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis, famine, all of these things happening around you, Dream. Look, your heart, the love inside of you should be stronger than your fears. I don't know what else to say, Dream. I can't say this. I love every single one of our moments together. We are a small little community. Our chat room, you, the homie Ricky, we're a special little group. And if you guys come here to enjoy yourself, come here to be who you are without fear of judgment. And even if we judge you, who cares? Be yourself, but try to be the self that can be the best of you. Be the Terence Crawford in your world, and you'll be all right. Be the Alexander Usyk who God has on his side. And I think we'll be all right, Dream. You know what, man? I can't wait to talk about some other very interesting things to you that will be scary. We'll get there. I want to have these scary conversations. You know why, Dream? Because talking about these things, we will overcome our fears. It's like when you're afraid of a frog, right? What do they tell you to do when you're afraid of a frog? They want you to hold the damn animal in your hands and just grip it there. As repulsed as you are, as sickened as you are, as your blood curls down and up your spine because you're disgusted by this green toad in the palm of your hands, once you look at it and you know that if you squeeze and squeeze, that frog will just continue to expand and you can crush it and splatter it in your fist.
Ugh.
That is how we overcome our fear. I know, but it's true. It's true. Toads are disgusting, but if you grab one and you squeeze hard enough, they crunch.
Ugh. And they die, right? They're
Man,
dead.
have you ever killed an animal?
Uh, Man, I feel like I have. Um, damn, what have I killed? I ran over a cat, but it's
Uh,
different.
yeah, that's
It just ran
sad.
in the middle of the street. I was like, what the fuck? And it was all dark. I was like, wait to running under my car. Like, I just heard it. I didn't even see it in front of me. Like, they just, but that's it. Like, maybe, oh yeah, like I think one, like a long time ago, I was in Mex. I was in Cancun as a
Mhm.
kid. And
Cancun.
yeah, and I seen this lizard. I was with my cousin, and I seen this small baby lizard. I grabbed it by the tail, and then my cousin grabbed the head, and then we went different directions, and I pulled up the tail, and the tail kept moving, and the tail kept moving, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I just fucking let it go, and I was looking at it. I was like, "How is this thing still moving?" I was like, and then the lizard just kind of ran away. But yeah, man, like yeah, I realized how fragile they are, you know.
Yeah.
And
The
that's an amphibian, so it's kind of.
amphibian, which is a lower life form, right? I mean, it's less neurons, less. So the reason why I was asking you that, right, is because I used to when we would go to the nation state of Mexico to visit my beloved auntie Amparito, who's passed away as of I think 3 years ago now, due to complications of COVID. She was famous in the state of Michoacan, in the small little town called Sinapecuaro, which is known for its carnitas. She was the one to make the carnitas. She was the one, man. If you were gonna eat carnitas, she was the one to go and visit over there. And in fact, before she passed away, she granted the recipe, passed it along to my mother, who wrote it down. She guards that recipe. My father made those carnitas there exactly like my aunt would make it. I don't think, women have a better uh, seasoning, a little touch than men. So I bet my aunt still beat my father's carnitas because, again, my father took the recipe. When you know the recipe, sometimes you just eyeball it and things come out perfect. So I don't think my dad did better, but I mean, if you had them, I would have said, I had them. They tasted the same as when I remember as a child. But long story short, one day I had to help my aunt slaughter a hog, a pig, right? And she told me to hold them up. I was like 10 years old, and I was holding the hands. I was like hugging the pig from the back. The guy was huge, and somebody was holding it from the front. Or I think I was like wrapped up, like sort of like I had to hug the pig in front of me, and my legs were wrapped around its belly or its midsection, and I was holding his forearms in front of me, like very strong. And my aunt stuck a dagger into its heart, and she started to spin it. Right? She
Damn.
was Well, you have to kill the animal. You have to like, and then you have to spin it in order to sever the arteries or whatnot. And the whole purpose of it is because you're supposed to drain the blood. You're gonna tip it over in order to drain the blood, so you can make this thing called morcilla, which is one of the most offensive smelling things that you can make. It's basically chiles, like jalapenos with bell peppers and like onions, and then you just throw that blood and you warm it up, and then it starts turning into coagulated blood, and then it starts taking on the look very similar to like ground meat, but it has like this strange color, like red and brown. It almost looks like liver. Like if you ever ate liver with the onions, it looks exactly like that, but it smells disgusting, man. Blood smells disgusting when you like fry it and stir fry it, right? But anyways, it smells the whole block. Long story short, here I am holding this stupid pig as it's getting killed, and my aunt is just like turning the knife around, and then the stupid pig, he's obviously stronger than me. So he starts shaking and shimmying, and he runs off, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, the thing went off!" And I start running, and the stupid pig starts chasing me. And as he's chasing me around this like encampment, there it is, just leaving a big old trail of blood. And I'm like, "Ah!" And everybody's laughing like, "Ah!" Ah, ah. And of course, the pig is slowly dying. He's chasing after me, but it's just reaction. I don't know if he's trying to hurt me, but he's chasing everywhere I go, left and right. He's just leaving a blood of trail right in back of me until little by little becomes weakened, and then he just topples over, right? But it left me traumatized. It left me traumatized. And I didn't think I would ever slaughter another animal. But every time there was a big significant party, everybody was very cowardly, and they would always tell my father, can you go slaughter this calf? Can you go slaughter this goat? Can you go slaughter this sheep? And of course, me being the eldest of the family, my father would tell me, hey, let's get on out. We're going to go kill an animal. And I'm like, oh, Dad, do I have to? Because it meant that I was going to have to go through the motions of slaughtering an animal, seeing the eyes of it lose its spark, dry over, go limp. And one of the worst things, of course, is peeling it, because it leaves a very strong smell. When you peel an animal, Dream, there's a smell, a stench. It's offensive but sweet at the same time, right? And I dreaded that part. But the more I did it, the more I got used to it, right? I overcame my fear of helping to slaughter animals. And I understood at the end that it was part of life. Now, of course, you know that I was a vegetarian for 16 years of my life on account that I respected these animals' life. I valued the life that they gave up to feed my family. I never got to eat that meat because I was disgusted by the whole experience of taking the life of it. Had this big old conscience limitations that it wouldn't allow me to just move on and say, it's dead, let me eat it. It was just like I took a life, I cannot enjoy it. So I became a vegetarian for 16 years until the pandemic forced me to start eating meat. Now you're probably saying, where are you going with this? What I'm trying to say is this: the things that you dread, you will overcome. The end of the world, if you believe it's coming, you will overcome. And if you think you can't, start preparing yourself. The only way to overcome fear is through love and bravery and facing these things, right? Now, here's another little story. I'm just going to end this right here, Dream, because I'm sure that you're going to wake up very early tomorrow to go to work like I do. But when you kill something accidentally, like you admitted that you ran over a little cat, don't tell anybody, bro, because people think you're a despicable individual. Let me tell you something. What happened to me one time? I was driving to work. It was right before dawn. Must have been about 5:54 in the morning. I started my day at 6. This would have been about 8 years ago or so. I was driving to this office that I used to work in, and as I'm approaching this little fork in the road, a little bend, there's this vehicle and this lonely highway that's in front of me. And as I'm driving up to it, the vehicle seems to be getting closer. So obviously it's a telltale sign that the vehicle is just pulled over. But he's not pulled over. He's actually in the middle of the road. Now, luckily, this part of the road, it opens up into 2 lanes right then there, right? But this individual, he's slowing down, and then he stops in the middle of the road. And this is right at the moment of twilight, when it's still pitch dark, but the sun is still breaking in, and now you're starting to be able to, sense things take shape and form of shadows. And this vehicle is pulled over, and of course I honk at it like, what are you doing? Like, why are you stopping in the middle of the road? I'm about to wreck you. If there's no 2 lanes, I would have wrecked you. You're right at the turn of the highway, like a 55-mile-an-hour highway, right? And there's no other cars except this one person there. So I honk at him, and then right then and there, the highway turns into 2 lanes. It bifurcates into 2 lanes, right? So I take the left lane. And you know what happens, Dream? You know why that vehicle was pulled over there? This is going to break your heart. There was a mother duck crossing her baby ducklings, about 9 of them, right there at that bend in the road which is the reason why that vehicle saw them probably from their vantage point, saw the duck, decided to slow down, and I didn't see it, right? Because all I'm thinking is this vehicle almost caused an accident. Luckily, this lane opens up into two, and I take the left lane. Now I'm not driving fast because this vehicle forced me to pull over, but I'm still going about 35 miles an hour. And right in front of that vehicle pulls out the mother duck with the little baby duckling in the back of it and in the front. And then as I'm approaching this vehicle, all of a sudden I see all these little ducks and the mother duck. And then I see what's happening. And then the mother duck raises her 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 wings, right? And she runs in front of the little guy that's in front of her. Mind you, that never happens, Stream. Ducklings
That's
never walk in front of the mother duck. The mother is supposed to guide them.
that's Canelo. No, just kidding.
Canelo.
Just kidding. Go
Oh,
ahead.
because of the duck, right?
Yeah. But
Yeah,
still.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. Well, maybe the little duck is the brave one because he's in the front. He's not supposed to be there. The mother duck is supposed to lead. So she runs in the front and she tries to shush the little duck, but she sees that it's too late. My car is approaching, and she starts running back. She embraces this little guy. You see him push the little guy. He flies. Three little guys are in back. They still don't know what's happening because now I've appeared. This big old monstrous vehicle that just popped out from the side of a vehicle that stopped for them. For all intents and purposes, that mother duck thought it was safe, that a human had slowed down to allow them to cross the highway. But there was going to be oncoming traffic. This mother duck and her ducklings were going to have to hurry. But they didn't anticipate my vehicle was going to open up right there from the left lane where they didn't see me, and I only got to see them enough to press on my brakes and try and swerve. And then, all of a sudden, I felt a little hop in my tire, and another little hop in my tire. And then I looked in my rearview mirror, and I saw the mother duck. She made one last jerking movement. That was her last spasm of life. I saw one feather move up, and then it limped down, and I saw three little puddles on the floor. And then I saw about 6 little ducklings running to the side of the road. And then I heard that vehicle that pulled over started honking at me. And I had to drive to work with a guilty conscience, knowing that I had likely led to the demise of all of these little ducklings that needed the mother to be there with them. I felt like a miserable piece of shit, pardon my French. And I arrived to work. It was going to be like the only day that I ever made it to work on time. Because I always famously showed up late. And that day was going to be the only day that I arrived. And I arrived particularly late because I was in my car, frozen, about how I had destroyed a whole family of ducks. Right? And you know what happened? I showed up late, and everybody knew that I'm a spirited individual. I'm very happy. Mr. Vince Vargas calls me a jerk. Yeah, I apologize, Mr. Vince Vargas. Yeah, I know, right? It was accidental though. And they're like, "Hey, Warp Speed, how you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah." Hey, Warp Speed. Yeah, how you doing? I sit down at my desk and I start trying to do my job. And they say, "Hey, what's wrong?" And I made the mistake of admitting that I had accidentally harmed sentient beings. And they all made fun of me. One guy called me a killer. And then I said, "Dude, don't call me that." And he was like, "Dude, I'm just chilling, man. I'm just messing with you." And the other one didn't say nothing. He was like, "It's okay, man. It's okay." And one of them, they heard, and they didn't let me live it down. They basically called me a scoundrel. They told me, how come you didn't stop? How come you didn't get the little ducklings? Why did you kill her? And I'm like, what do you mean? What can I do? It wasn't intentional. It was accidental. They pulled that in front of me. What can I do with a dead duck? Go back and give her mouth to mouth? I was so infuriated that this person would accuse me of being a scoundrel, a killer of little innocent animals. And they reminded me of that movie, Bambi, where the forest catches on fire and all these little animals and critters are running around and they're slowly gonna perish in the flames. And I remember how I was a kid watching that movie and I felt so much fury watching those little animals know that they're not gonna live, knowing that they could have been prevented, feeling so grievous and sad. And that I became that fire for those ducks that day. And if that wasn't bad enough, as a Catholic individual, yes, we are born with an inherent guilty conscience. This person had the gall, like Mr. Vince Vargas, to call me a jerk. It hurt. So I tell you one thing, Dream. If anything ever happens that's accidental, that you feel bad about, don't tell anybody. Keep it to yourself. Your conscience is going to be bad enough, man, because they'll never let you live it, bro. They'll never let you live it down. You'll be an enemy forever. You'll be the villain in their story forever, man. Man, horrible. Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Ruben. Yeah, keep it to yourself, man. Don't tell anybody you killed that. You ran over that little cat, though.
Nah, it was their fault. The cat's fault. Like it went,
There you go.
no, because it went under my second tire. Like, say I'm going forward, they went under my car. You know, like it's not like they didn't get run over by my front tires. They got run over by my back tires because they went straight into the car. You know, like they were just there, like going that fast, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
They were playing a game of chicken with you.
Nah, it was like cats, bro. Like I don't know. So yeah.
So wait. So you've never had a cat that's intentionally messing with you?
Well, I have a cat in the house right now. No, this one doesn't mess with me.
No. But out on the roadway, you've never ran into a cat that's like, you move left and he runs left. You move right. It's like he's trying to get himself killed. Wow, you're so lucky.
Nah.
You're so lucky.
Hey, anyway, did you hear who Inoue's gonna fight?
So I guess he's not fighting what's his name? The guy who just fought over the weekend, right? I mean, because no. So he's not fighting MJ Agmedaliev.
No.
Oh wow. Who?
TJ Dahoney from Australia.
Hey.
He is 26-4 with 20 knockouts. Never been knocked out before. So
that's a good fight.
Yeah, so this guy has he's on a three fight knockout streak against undefeated fighters.
Wow.
So, oh no, the first guy he knocked out was 14-1, but after that, 2 straight undefeated guys he knocked out.
That's crazy. No, I love it. I mean, the one
Irish.
thing I tell you about, he's Irish or Australian?
He's nationality. It says Ireland, residence Australia.
Oh, bro, that's a bad combo. I mean, that's a bad combo for Naoya. I mean, because dude, those guys in Australia right now are on fire, and the Irish. Well, you know what they say about the Irish? They're fighting people. They're fighting Irish. I like that combination. That's great. I don't know what's gonna happen. I know that's not the fight that people wanted, but that's the fight that we'll take, and I'm pretty sure we'll be happy with it.
Yeah. So can't wait to.
Yeah, when is that taking place?
That is taking place. I'm looking at the date. September 3rd, on the Tuesday.
September 3rd.
Yeah. So, in less than 2 months, and then you have Ismael Barroso versus Andy Hirakoa. I don't know, but that's all I see. Pretty much, people who look familiar. They look like
You
Japanese fighters.
you know that Junto Nakatani is fighting Vincent Astrolabio, the Filipino, this Saturday, right?
Oh nah,
You know who Junto Nakatani is?
Junto,
Oh, Junto. I'm
Junto. No,
talking in Spanish, I guess.
yeah, no, Junto.
Juntos. Junto
Yeah,
Naka.
yeah,
Junto Naka.
yeah. Let me see. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, I need
And
to go to sleep.
yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
I need to
Yeah,
finish.
it's you know what? It was fun after like about a whole month of not going live. It was definitely fun catching up with you guys. Dream, you're awesome, man. I love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
Yeah, I want you to. Hey, I want you to hug your people, bro. I'm telling you, Joe Rogan. I doubt that he's right,
You're
but
gonna
Joe
die.
Morgan. Yeah, we're gonna die. Oh no, I thought I was gonna live forever. You
All right,
know.
man.
Yeah, have a wonderful night. And to anybody that's out there, I know there's 4 people still listening in there. Mr. Vince Vargas, the homie Ricky, El Pachuco, Dream just stepped out, Abner Ortega, my Boricua brother. Anybody that's out there that's just reticent and expressing themselves coy and a bit shy, hey, don't be. You know, we are well intended individuals here. As you can tell, we're lovey dovey types. We tell everybody we love them. And what's wrong with that? But it's been fun, ladies and gentlemen. We were able to pull 3.5 hours of talking about some of our favorite things, including the career of young Drake, Ruben Villa IV. We were able to talk about the movements of Keyshawn Davis, all of these other fighters, the up and coming fights. It's been fun, and I hope to do it again. Pachucos likes to wrap it up by saying, hopefully, you guys have more lives. Well, I already paid for it at Pachuca. I paid $25 for StreamYard to give me the opportunity to go live. So yeah, you'll hear us more often. You know, I just had to save up a couple of bucks, some cans there. But I guess freedom of expression ain't free. But yeah, we'll have more things to talk about. Next one, I don't want to talk about boxing, um especially after this weekend. I missed so much boxing. I actually watched MMA. My daughter wanted to watch Rose Namajunas fight the Chicana, or maybe I don't know if she identifies as Chicana, but I know she's Mexican American because she walked out with the flag uh of Mexico and America. My wife was talking about it, but what are you talking about? You're talking about women. And I was like, relax, these are my job. But anyways, she she's not tripping, she says. She's talking about. so, so, anyways, we will talk about more things, but I don't want to talk about boxing since I didn't watch much boxing this weekend. I spent that weekend watching MMA with my daughter, who's I guess an aficionado, some MMA girls. But yeah, El Pachuco, you can count on us to go live, and hoping we'll do some cryptic, scary, mysterious things on an episode tomorrow. Um, we'll be delving deep into some topics not boxing related, but just a little more intriguing, more interesting, and maybe just a little spooky. Ladies and gentlemen, from Life at Warp Speed with your space cadets and fellow psychonauts, Warp Speed, the homie Ricky, Dream. We bid you adieu. We hope you are doing well of health and sane of mind. But if you aren't, remember, just tell the people that you love them and you'll be all right. Engage.